Welcome, everyone, and welcome to our Children, Seniors, and Family Committee, the last one of this fiscal year. Today's June 26th, it's Thursday, and it's 1:32, so I'm going to call the meeting to order and establish quorum.
Vice Chairperson Yung
Here.
and Chairperson Arenas.
I'm also here.
Thank you. You have a quorum.
Wonderful, thank you. So we're going to move into item number 2. This is public comment, and this is a time that's reserved for folks who want to say something, share with us right before we go off to July recess, and share their thoughts about anything that's not on the agenda today. So if that's you, please let us know. I'm going to check in with our clerk really quick.
We do not have any requests to speak.
Well, that is a shame. Well, all right. Well, we are going to begin by approving our consent calendar and see if there's any changes to our committee agenda. And I'm going to look to my vice chair to see if there's any items.
Thank you, Chair. No changes from me.
Wonderful. And I actually have an addition to the consent calendar. And that is, my gosh, this is the CAP report, and I'm looking for an item number. Thank you. My lifeline is here. Yes, item 6 on consent, if that would be okay with you.
That would be fine with me. Thank you.
Wonderful. And so we'll see that as a motion.
I move to adopt the agenda and consent calendar as is with the movement of item 6 to consent.
Perfect. And we will continue to move forward and ask our clerk for a vote.
Okay. And just to clarify, we do not have any requests to speak for this item.
Oh, of course. That's what I was going to ask you.
Vice Chairperson Yung
Yes.
and Chairperson Arenas.
And I'm also a yes.
Thank you. Motion carries.
Thank you. All right. Moving right along, this is item number 4. Receive report from social services relating to opportunities to maximize Medi-Cal and other funding to serve children and youth, including California work opportunities and responsibility to kids, and we lovingly call it CalWorks. Welcome.
Good afternoon, Keeley, Deputy County Executive. I don't think we have a formal report today. I just have one comment, and then we'll be available for any questions. In this report, we outlined some significant opportunities under the Department of Healthcare Services to leverage Medi-Cal funding. These funding opportunities, of course, could have significant benefit for CalWorks families, children and youth, and these are the same opportunities that we will be trying to leverage or tap into to support our broader behavioral health system and our behavioral health community of care. With that, happy to answer any questions.
Wonderful, thank you. And then we're going to check for public comment before we get any conversation going.
We currently do not have any requests to speak.
Okay, I continue to be astonished. I'm going to look to my co-chair and see if there's any questions.
No question. No, to the behavioral health support pieces of it, just thank you so much for this very edifying and very fulsome ledge file. I would imagine that there'll be more conversations between my office and your operation in the coming months to understand the changes and just be up to date on new efforts that we're launching. I actually had some comments and questions about some of the ancillary pieces of the ledge file, specifically the CEFI program and the Intern and Earn. Yeah, so what the CEFI program, so it's only for entry-level positions. Is that what's part of the program offerings for our current and former foster youth?
Sure, I'm happy to take that. So that is a partnership that we are engaged in with our DEBS partners. And I'm happy to report that we continue to push the envelope on this to continue to employ as many as possible. I know the county is a big supporter of that. I know that we've also had some really good feedback loops, and I'll really commend David and his team that we've gotten feedback on that program to, although there's different levels of it, how do we continue to have good, strong feedback loops to even develop that program further and have exceptions to some of those things. So a good partnership between DFCS and DEBS to continue that forward, and that is the plan.
Thank you. To expand the position offerings beyond entry level.
Correct.
Yeah. We have some really just great success stories with the current and former foster youth who do everything that they're supposed to do, that they're advised to do, despite just insurmountable challenges. And they come back graduating from Stanford, from UC Santa Cruz, from Dartmouth, and they come back and to participate in the CEFI program, to have them only be able to access entry-level positions, despite being entry-level, maybe work experience, but the qualifications of their education and their internships and all the things that they bring as part of their life experience, I feel that it would be truly aligned with our values to broaden the type of codes that could participate in the CEFI program.
Thank you, Supervisor. I think we can potentially look at the codes and work maybe in partnership with ESA to determine if we want to add codes to the eligible positions.
Yeah, adding codes or even whole series, like the Office Specialist series, 1, 2, and 3. I think it's only Office Specialist 1 and 2 that's part of the CEFI program right now, right?
Yeah, and maybe the sort of junior analyst, like the associate analyst as well, would be a good fit too.
Yeah.
So we can look at those.
Yeah, we've got some great smarty pants, and just want to make sure we swoop them up as an employer of choice.
Okay.
Yeah, and then for the Intern and Earn program, I'm learning this recently too as an Intern and Earn site host. That the pay is $17.50 per hour, and I know that early on in the years, and this is like years ago, there was some discussion at the board about allowing the site participant, the employer or the host site, if they wanted to supplement that income to be able to add to it. Is that something that is still under consideration, potentially under development, or as a consideration for the future?
Good afternoon, Supervisors. David Tran, Acting Employment Services Director.
Congratulations.
Thank you. To answer your question, Supervisor, that is something that we will look into to see if we can move forward with that proposal.
To allow that option for
Yes.
employers or host sites to supplement the income.
Yes.
Okay, thank you. I think that's it for me. Thank you. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you. Great questions. I'm also interested in making sure that our youth continue to have opportunities, and we're one of the few employers who really provide that. And I'm really excited to see if our office could be added as a place of employment for youth. I typically would do that in my city council office. We would have interns during the summer. We had a similar program, but obviously not funded by Medi-Cal. Or it was usually our general fund, in the same way that some of our internships are here. That is one piece. And the second piece I wanted to ask you about was for the Housing Medi-Cal funding. You stated there was 18 local education agencies that included the County Office of Ed that are participating in the fee schedule program. And I wanted to know who those are and exactly what they're doing or what they're providing.
Supervisor, I could, right before this meeting, I sent to your staff person the list of those 18. I'm happy to pull up the email and read them
Oh, I
off.
love it. No.
Okay.
If it's in my inbox, it's done. But if you want to do it for our public comment, for public record, yeah, that would be great.
Sure. Hold on. Let me just pull that up then.
One of the things I was thinking about with with this kind of Medi-Cal funding, and I know that you've been working really hard to ensure that we can draw down funding so that we can offer some of the housing, the rental assistance, and I know that's still in the pipeline. But I wonder if you have also an update on that, if you happen to. I think that's through the ECM, correct? The Enhanced Care Management piece of it.
Yes. First, allow me to come back.
Of
Come back
course.
to the question about the local educational agencies. It's the Santa Clara Office of Education, Sunnyvale School District, Mountain View Wismont, Eastside Union High, Morgan Hill Unified, Navigator Schools, Cambrian, Campbell Union, Rocket Ship, University Prep, Santa Clara Unified, Cupertino High, Evergreen, Franklin McKinley, Gilroy Unified, San Jose Unified, Mount Pleasant Elementary, and Mountain View Los Altos. These LEAs or school districts, they're essentially working with the state and the and managed care plans to figure out a way so that they can contract with providers and pay providers that regardless of the insurance status of the child. And so this is, I believe, we're in the 4th cohort. The Department of Healthcare Services identifies a cohort of schools or school districts in each county. Their intention is to work with each school district to implement the program and then add the remaining agencies over a period of time. But who gets added really depends on their kind of readiness and their work with the Department of Healthcare Services. And this focus right now is really on children and youth with mild to moderate needs. So the sort of the county behavioral health system, if you will, is not exactly sort of in the mix just yet, but eventually will be a part of that. So it is definitely a complicated work in progress, and we will provide a more in-depth report at the next School Link Services report. That's where we focus our attention on the fee schedule program.
Thank you. You know, I always have something to say about how we roll out and link to or connect the different districts. And I know that we work from what we know, we work from the relationships we've already established, because it's kind of the easiest picking, if you will, in terms of fruit from the tree. I don't necessarily think that that's the best approach and pathway that we should continue to take. So I'd love to see what the data looks like in terms of the needs. If those agents, if we have anything that can tell us where some of the incidents are happening from the CAN Center in terms of school districts or schools, particular schools, then I'd like for us to be strategic about our approach. I love that school districts are approaching us or are establishing themselves ready to enter into this kind of partnership. But if you're so overwhelmed in your school district with the needs of our students and our families, I don't think that there will ever be an opportunity for folks to say, you know, this is when we're ready.
Yeah.
Although I do like the list. The list is good. So I'd like to see a more strategic approach to it, and if there is a strategic plan, I'd love to see it, and you can provide it offline.
Yes, maybe just a couple comments on that. So what I'm hearing from you is, you know, for the next report, the School Link Services report, maybe just a little bit, some detail about where each school district is in progressing towards implementing the fee schedule. And then second, kind of thinking about the current list of school districts and whether there are other school districts where the county may understand that there's additional needs and have an interest in assisting in that readiness. So we can do that. One thing we'll just note is that we can certainly influence and assist, you know, but we'll have to work with Department of Healthcare Services, which, you know, determines who's in which cohort.
Right. Absolutely, and I'm happy to hold conversations with you. I'm not asking you to do the work solo. I'm willing to do a portion of the work that fits my role. And so I'm happy to do that as well. I'm just concerned that we're not matching up what districts can take advantage of and matching it up with the need that is there. And like I said, I really like the list. I heard some of the school districts that I think I would be very concerned about, but I don't know what I don't know. And if the data tells us something slightly different, I'd like for us to follow that. I'd also like for us to have the Latino health assessment as a guiding report for when we make these kinds of decisions in terms of who do we reach out to proactively. And I understand some of this is out of our control, but I think it's wonderful for us to figure out what is and for us to shape some of those pathways for folks. All right, so that is my feedback, and in terms of trying to figure out how do we match this data together. I think you heard what I'm looking for in the next report, and love to see if we could have a meeting in between with my office. Okay. All right, I forget if you had a motion on the floor.
No, not yet. Not yet, but we could change that. Motion to receive report?
And I'll second that.
Okay. Vice Chairperson Young
Yes.
and Chairperson Arenas.
Yes.
Thank you. Motion carries.
Wonderful. Thank you so much for the report. I hope you take advantage of the summer months, if at all possible. Although I know summer school is in full gear, and some folks will not take a break. All right, this is item number 5, outreach to low-income beneficiaries from the Department of Employment and Benefit Services relating to outreach efforts. Welcome. Oh, I think your mic is.
Where is it? Okay. Good afternoon. My name's Aidel Villarreal, and I'm a program and policy manager with DEBS at Social Services. With me is Roseanne, our outreach coordinator, and Anita Torres.
Welcome, all of you. Thank you.
Thank you. So we did send out a report, and we have a presentation as well. Would you like to see the presentation, or do you just want to ask us some questions regarding what the report states?
I'm happy to hear it if.
I would like to hear the presentation, actually.
Okay.
Thank
Yeah.
you.
We're all ears.
Okay, great. So, so for the presentation, we did create a new flyer specifically on our utilities information and any low cost or reduced rates that are available to those in need, specifically our public benefits clients and applicants. This flyer is posted in our lobbies. It is available to take from our resource racks. It has also been shared with our staff so that they can verbally talk about it and also share it with the clients that they see. It's included in our packets, so not just our recipients get that information, but also anybody that's interested in applying for benefits. And it is also available online as a resource, and it is included in our community resource guide as well. Is there anything that I am missing on that?
We've been posting it on our social media. It's on today. If you follow us at SCCSSA Debs on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter X, you can find it there in 3 languages. And we also are sharing it with some community-based organization meetings that we participate in, particularly the Safety Net Committee and the CalWorks Advisory and the South County Collaborative, to make sure that everybody has that information also.
And we're open to any questions you may have.
Got it. Okay. We are going to first check in with the public because they're inquisitive as well.
We do not have any requests to speak.
All right. Co-chair.
Thank you. So first off, my appreciation for the marketing, the efforts to communicate this information into the world. I would also, on that vein, just also request that you have digital versions of the flyers to please send it to my office. I think all the board offices would appreciate having them to push out through our own social media channels too, so that we could be a more force multiplier in the sharing of this information. And what I'd be interested in knowing is, are there any considerations underway about creating an internal policy where data, I know data is very delicate and data has to be fiercely protected, right? So it's with great care that we ever move or share data, to be able to have a process or policy in place that could model what we did with our new garbage contracts, right? Where we were able to identify and triage existing clients and our county systems who are also customers of our garbage service, so that they would know targetedly that they were eligible for this type of program by default of being by virtue of being a client of our safety net, that they're eligible for the reduced garbage rates. So I know that was something that was new that came up in conversation, and I want to look at. Ilona, thank you for being such a good partner on that one, and what we heard from at the board level, that this was a new partnership or new sharing of resources and information. So have we thought about how we can replicate that for additional opportunities across the county organization?
Yeah, absolutely, Supervisor. So on the first question to share the flyer, it's been shared with your office, but I think great idea to share it with the rest of the board. So we'll definitely be doing that. For the second point, as far as partnering up and sharing data, obviously the county has a process in place that we'll need to go through to protect the data that we'll share. The outreach for the garbage was not done by DEBS and social services. So we shared the data based on the parameters they had, and they did the outreach. We're open to that with any entity that wants to help our clients, as long as we go through the legal process to make sure we're able to share the data. So we're absolutely open to that. In the meantime, what we're doing for our clients is removing any barriers that they may need to apply for those programs, and that's providing them with verifications of benefit, telling them where to go to apply. So we're trying to do that on our end, but we're open to any partnership.
I appreciate that. And as times get tougher, and if the news is any indicator of what's going to be coming down the pike, I think wherever we can shore up costs or close that gap for our most vulnerable families and clients is going to be extremely helpful for everyone. And so thank you for all your work on that. Absolutely. And thank you. I didn't realize that the flyers are already shared with my office. I appreciate that.
Late last night.
Late last night. And you know what, too? Like my team now handles social media. They took it out of my hands, and so maybe that's a good thing. But thank you so much for that, and I look forward to hearing more. And I think what I feel now as a policymaker is that as opportunities come up with the different contracts or different programs or services that we launch as a county organization, there is a pathway for data sharing to be able to prioritize some target communications to our clients. Thank you for that.
Thank you. We appreciate any ideas that the board gives us, because that helps us in return provide services to clients. So
Thank you.
Oh, you should be careful what you say, because we've got lots of ideas. All right, I'm going to continue with this theme about not knowing what we don't know. And a lot of the times when we are in a time of crisis, we don't know what we don't know, right? And we don't know where to look. The resource guide is fabulous, and I'd love to see how we can share it among municipalities a little bit more. There is a level of distance between the county and the community as I have gone through the different levels as a school board member. I felt like the partnership and the relationship with families and children was very intimate. And then at the city, it was a little more distant, but usually created through neighborhood associations and business associations and groups of that kind for efficiency's sake. And then at the county, those kinds of relationships get lost in some ways because we are not the most, people don't think about us when there is an issue that they need resolved, right? Usually it's a city that they live in, and it's kind of anything that comes up for a resident, usually the city that they live in gets that call, and then they reroute it to whomever it's most appropriate to answer their concern. And so because of that, I think we need to continue to make an additional effort to get our information out. And I'd love to see how this community resource guide can get into the hands of the community. And I'm thinking, for me, it would be the best way is through some of those cities and those municipalities as they hold closer level of relationships than we do, and I'm not saying that we can't, we just simply are a more complex system, right? We bring some of those relationships with us, and so then we can transfer some of that information. I'm happy to do it myself, but I think the schools, the cities, continue to have a very intimate relationship with our residents as they clear out cases that they may have for residents. And I think it's a perfect opportunity to provide this kind of a guide. And as the lives of people are changing based on jobs, based on medical necessity, I think this guide can hopefully resurface as people's lives change. And so I wonder if there is an opportunity for us to maybe schedule throughout, every 2 years, kind of reinvent it, if you will, have a different cover to it, use fabulous colors. I am wearing a pin that our chief operating officer just gave me earlier, and just, it just makes me think about how do we sell our product, and how do we brand ourselves, right? And I think that there's an opportunity for us to do this through this guide that is so helpful. And as people are finding themselves in maybe difficult situations, that they can really open this up. So I feel like this is an opportunity for us to use some very non-traditional ways of getting our messages across. I heard our co-chair talk about media, social media, and sometimes asking a question about what you can find in the community resource guide pulls people in, right? So, are you feeling depressed? Are you, that's a very basic, generic question, but I think you get my gist in terms of, I'm not a marketing person, obviously, but I have ideas. So I just think if we can change up, if you will, the cover and how we engage folks. It's the same resource guide. We're just changing the look of it so that we can re-engage folks. And I wonder if you have any plans to refresh the look and feel and how you pull folks in.
So we are actually in the midst of revamping our
Oh, I
resource
love
guide.
it.
So we are changing it to a different application just to make it easier to flip through the guide.
Lovely.
And we do update it frequently as we get information. CBOs and different organizations, they changed their information. So as soon as we find out that something has been updated, we do update our guide just to make sure that we are providing as current information as possible to clients, because it is pretty frustrating to get information and then it be outdated, right? Mm-hmm. I like the idea of changing the cover just to make it different, and adding different colors. So that's a really good idea. Roseanne is the one that's in charge of making all those changes, and maybe Roseanne, you can speak a little bit
Oh,
more.
well, the cover has changed a few times. We do update the look. We change our flyers around, but kind of have a standardized look so they look like they all belong to us.
Lovely.
The resource guide has its limitations on production and distribution because of the frequency of the changes, and in the current climate, a lot of the things we have listed in there are coming from community-based organizations, and they get their funding. They've been experiencing, as you know, funding cuts that are pretty swift and right now. And so we've tried to change our resource guide to be much more generic and not say they're providing all these specific types of services, because sometimes in 2 weeks that service isn't there anymore. So we're still trying to drive them to those organizations in their community. So we've done some things like that to try to respond to the current climate, but we're always open to new ideas and ways and new pathways of people we don't know about for distribution. We do post periodically. Every time we post an update on our social media, there's a new resource guide out there. We could work on some different highlighting of, did you know you could find information about that in there? I like that idea. But we do try to get it out through all the channels of communication. If you have any additional channels that you don't think we're reaching, please let us know.
Well, I would love to see your strategic plan or your outreach plan to figure those pieces out and see what we can add to. I was just thinking as you were talking, there's so many different platforms that we can distribute this information through. As a parent, I am on a parent portal for my school district, and I think every now and then, especially if you have if there's parents, and I'm not saying that I have this because I don't want to accuse my son of chronic absenteeism, but that issue may happen for some families, and we could pose that question as the school year begins or in the middle of it, or just very nicely timed engagement questions or engagement information, so that way I just think that we could change this so that it fits the reader that you're sending it to, right? Rather than sending something generic. And if I'm not a parent, I'm a senior, I'm living, paycheck to paycheck. That's not going to be I'm going to say, oh, this is for younger families, so I'm not there anymore. And I'm just hoping that we can make it more relevant. So when we distribute, it makes sense to those populations, and that you could have kind of this pull-down menu, if you will, during the different times of the year that we know people are having difficult times. And I know from our CAN Center, we have a higher level of abuse, reports of abuse during certain times, and I think it's really important to provide some resources during those times for parents, and we can easily distribute that to an online parent portal, but in a meaningful way. Otherwise, we saturate with something that's not relevant for somebody, and they'll continue to ignore it because it doesn't speak to them. And Sarah, I know that you've been waiting. Yeah.
I just wanted I think this is a great conversation and very timely, and I have lots of thoughts because I love thinking about resource guides and getting all of the county's resources out into communities. And then thinking about how do we get the feedback from our users. And I saw a really good example when I was poking around looking at this, which is you could actually add a link and a QR code, and it's just a simple question like, did you find what you were looking for here, yes or no? And if it's no, it just leads you to a quick form that's like, what were you looking for? And that allows us to kind of do the feedback loop and check to see if we can add resources. And then there are some really robust resource guides, like First Five has Find Help, for example, which pretty much has everything you would want as a parent of young children. So that in some cases, I think we can kind of just utilize certain resources that already exist in the county, and then where we want to do more work is like the things that we have in the county, the employment benefits resource, makes sure all that stuff's really unpacked in the guide. So I think there's a lot of potential to be pretty nimble with this, especially in an online resource that we can update really regularly. So I'm
Yeah.
excited for this project.
I love it. Me too. I'm getting really excited because I'm thinking, during the summer, we tend to maybe check out more library books because we have a kid at home who wants to just stick on to the iPad or the TV. I'm not speaking personally either, but that happens. And we could, if you check books out online, we could always have those different versions of the cover sheet or the cover of the book be on the landing page so that whoever is checking out the book can continually see it and see it in different engagement forms. And if I believe we continue to have iPads or electronic devices that people can check out, just always have a link to those on those items. I just think there's so many different ways we can get information out. And I love this idea of a QR code, not only to check back in for that, did we do it right? Did we get you what you needed? But also, is this information, I think a QR code, I've said it before, everyone is really, it's standardized. We know how to do this. We just, point our camera to it and it takes us there. So I love this, this idea of really taking this on the online road, if you will, and excited to see what this new version looks like. I also am hoping that, I know that you said the printed version of it may be very limited, but I think that's also very important for some communities, especially the ones, I know there are certain schools that, I'm a paper person, I just am. I'm a combination. I like paper and I search on, obviously I have both modalities here, and I'd love to see it distributed not only through our county libraries, but our schools and things of that sort. So anyways, I'll wait for your plan because I'm probably telling you all things that you've already planned for, and I'm just speaking to the choir here. So I'm going to stop my comments and just wait for an invitation to continue to discuss this. And congratulations on the new cover. Excited to see what that looks like and what the plans are for the guide, as I know that our families are really looking for a lot of information currently. All right, do we have a motion?
Motion to receive report.
And I'm going to second that.
Vice Chairperson Young
Yes.
and Chairperson Arenas.
I'm going to say yes, too.
Thank you. Motion
Thank you so
carries.
much for the presentation. Have a great rest of the day. Good luck on that next version. And then we're going to invite folks who are going to report to us from the Department of Family and Children Services relating to the, oh no, we did not do this one. This is on consent, so they're off the hook. This is item number 7, receive report from the Probation Department relating to Neighborhood Safety Services Unit fiscal year 2023-2024 activities. And for those of you at home, this is item 7. And welcome.
Good afternoon, Supervisor. This is Mariel Caballero.
I'm sorry,
Over
Maria.
here.
You know what? Now you're activating the left side of my brain here. I love it.
Deputy Director for Probation Administration, and I oversee the Neighborhood Safety Unit. Today, we have several of our members of our team with us. Myra Mejia, who is our Program Manager, too. Eduardo Aceves, who is our Research and Evaluation Specialist with the research team. Brenda Lopez, who is, Beranda, oh my gosh, I'm so sorry. Lopez, who is a Community Outreach Specialist in Gilroy, and Susana, who is in San Jose. And I just totally butchered their last names. So my apologies. This is why we shouldn't introduce them. They should introduce themselves. But moving on, if you could share my screen. Okay. Let's see. There we go. Okay, we are not going to go over every slide in this presentation because it is quite lengthy. So we'll start with slide with the overview. And go ahead, Myra.
Thank you. Hi, everyone. Good afternoon. I'm a little under the weather, but I'm going to do my best, or at least try to. If we can please go to slide 7. We're going to talk a little bit about our community safety survey that we conduct in each of the communities that we work in. Our team gathers meaningful insights from the community, residents, adults, and youth, and it supports us in assessing key areas such as community safety, social cohesion, collective efficacy, school environment, and gun safety. We collected about 619 in this fiscal year. And just to note that we had vacancies in our team, and so this is why we collected less than we normally would. Of those, 351 were from East Gilroy residents, 268 were from our East San Jose residents, and of course, of those, 101 were East Gilroy youth, and 57 were Valley Palms Apartments youth. Next, I'd like to show you this infographic. The size of the actual activity signifies how much youth have asked for these activities. And so when they responded to the question of what sort of activities they wanted to see, they wanted more sporting events, a greater access to the on-site soccer field that was built there, and other activities that were mentioned were arts and crafts, workshops, car shows, biking, events, cleanups, and general youth-focused activities. In this current fiscal year that we're completing now, in partnership with Valley Palms Unidos and Pacific Clinics that's on-site working there in the community, we started a 12-week soccer clinic and engaged on Mondays and Wednesdays for our youth. And right now, we're actually in the middle of it, and it's been very successful, and we're really happy with how it's going. Prior to that, we had Valley Palms Unidos leaders, Claudia and Marilu, that hosted soccer clinics along with the Quakes, and so that was also very successful. And so the plan is for this upcoming fiscal year to continue to provide more pro-social activities based on these youth requests. And the next thing that we're doing is Pacific Clinics is also going to host a mariachi sessions, which we're really excited about, bringing music onto the community and other pro-social activities. Through our other partnerships with Catholic Charities and New Hope for Youth, they also provide soccer clinics, barbecues, exposure to new environments and nature. And they also do, part of this civic engagement is to do cleanups in their own neighborhood and feel a sense of like pride and ownership and want to see their neighborhood beautiful. Next slide, please. These were open responses of, just input from the community, from the youth in the community. And of course, you can see more, right? They clearly want more community events and activities. Other suggestions include enhancing the complex's security and camera systems, increasing gang prevention efforts, and improving police presence. And so in this current fiscal year, in collaboration with Valley Palms Management, Valley Palms Unidos, and the San Jose Police Department, we identified a new security company to better address the safety needs of the community. They also installed cameras and ensured they were fully operational, and establish an ongoing partnership with the Foothill Division Captain Zuniga in order to be able to respond to any gang activity, graffiti, or any violent incidents that happen, so that we have a way of supporting our community when they're experiencing these different things. Next slide, please. Now, for Gilroy, it's similar. Gilroy youth expressed the need for sports activities such as biking, basketball, football, paintball, soccer, and volleyball. They also suggested creating opportunities for clubs, safe spaces, cooking, chess, drug awareness, more events, music, video production, and basic needs, and more food-themed events. In this current fiscal year, youth collaborated with FLY to offer an arts and crafts activity, while City of Gilroy provided sports programming at San Isidro Park and the Wheeler Gym. Additionally, youth volunteers supported monthly community food distributions to meet their volunteer hours for their graduation requirement, but also to meet the food needs of their community residents. So we're definitely looking forward to, of course, having more pro-social activities for youth in Gilroy as well. Next slide. This next one was the open responses for Gilroy youth as well, and of course, more events, more activities. Others highlighted the need for safer environment in and around the parks, including increased security and improved communication with police. Additional suggestions included lights and cameras in public areas and providing better access to information about resources. In the current fiscal year, through the monthly San Isidro Cafecitos that we host, the Gilroy Police Department continued to strengthen relationships with youth, adults, and families in addressing community concerns around those topics. And one of the key issues that were raised was the need for improved lighting and surveillance cameras at San Isidro Park. And so in response, the Gilroy Police Department promptly installed cell-based cameras in the San Isidro Park and surrounding areas. These are cameras operated 24 hours, 7 days a week, and retain footage for up to 40 days. The Gilroy Police Department also plans to create a position that will provide real-time monitoring to actively track crime activity. And they plan on installing lighting around the park to improve visibility at night to make it safer. And so these efforts have helped residents feel heard and protected. And these are also, this is also feedback we receive not only from youth, but from the adults as well. So it's nice to hear that our collaboration with each community's police department is really solidified and collaborative in an effort to make communities safer. I'm going to pass it on to Eduardo.
Thank you. Can you move to slide 12, please, Maria? Oh, you're already there. Yeah. Okay, so here's a quick graph of the number of surveys that have been collected since NSU started providing services to these communities. So in 2024, we did see a dip in collections down to 619 surveys. These are pretty lengthy surveys, but so they provide a lot of different information for us to track and measure how well NSU is providing these services. These next slides that I'll be presenting on are areas that we saw that are to highlight and areas of inquiries. And these metrics are identified through the survey and also other publicly available data sources. So for us, the highlights are items that are trending positively, and areas of inquiries are items that spark our interest and are potential areas where NSU can invest more resources to. So if you can move to slide 15, please.
I can't see the slide numbers.
Oh, sorry. So it'll be two more after that one. There we go. That's the one. Okay. So this first one is chronic absenteeism at Gilroy's partner schools, which were Elliott and Glenview. So this data was extracted from the California Department of Education's website. As you can see, the school saw a large increase in chronic absenteeism during the pandemic, which was fiscal year 20 through 23, essentially. And this past year, fiscal year 24, there was a significant decrease in chronic absenteeism, dropping from 41% fiscal year 23 down to 24% in fiscal year 24. And NSU has been collaborating with school principals to create attendance campaigns, which we're hoping to continue to reduce chronic absenteeism.
I wanted to also elaborate a little bit on that. When we were communicating with our principals, we implemented as part of our partnership for them to do an attendance campaign in an effort to connect with parents and also to create a school environment where, the students were going to show up to school. And so at Glenview Elementary, Principal Vasquez introduced Duck Days. which was a weekly initiative where a randomly selected class receives plastic duck toys, often dressed in funny and quirky costumes. The random selection keeps students motivated to attend daily, as any class could have been chosen at any day. And so Principal Vasquez noted that this initiative has positively contributed to the attendance efforts and increased student engagement at the school. They also host trade days, allowing students to exchange their ducks with classmates, adding an element of excitement and interaction among the students. Students with the highest attendance were rewarded with a Glenview t-shirt. And then at Elliott Elementary, Principal Rivera introduced the 100% Here form, a visual tool that allows teachers to color in a letter or number. Each day, their entire class is present. At the end of the month, the class with the highest attendance earns a reward such as like Jamba Juice or pizza or ice cream. This initiative has motivated students to attend regularly and fostered a sense of friendly competition, per se, between grade levels. With the form displayed in the classroom, students can track their progress and take pride in their collective achievements. Both schools also implemented the Character Counts Pillars program, focusing on one pillar at a time. Students who demonstrated these positive character traits are recognized through award assemblies, certificates, and character count t-shirts, celebrating their commitment to these strong values of attendance.
We wanted to highlight absenteeism both in Gilroy and East Gilroy because while probation isn't necessarily the only agency that's working with schools to address these issues, this is our effort to continue to show collective impact. So one of the things that the board has asked over the last several years is not just for us to count what we do, but to show impact. And so this is our initial attempt. As you may remember, last year we hired a consultant to support us in developing a new framework for reporting. And so we're only showing you the highlights today, but and the few areas of inquiry. But this is more about like what is probation in the county's overall collective impact in addressing some of these broader issues at the schools where we're investing dollars.
Next slide, please. Yeah, so here we have this slide is highlighting the decreased number of referrals. So the numbers of referrals have remained well below fiscal year 2017, which was NSU's first year partnering with these communities. And the numbers of referrals have gone almost half of what they were at that point. So this prior year, there was only 118 referrals in 95020. Next slide, please. And the next one. Yeah, here we go. Okay. So this is one area of inquiry that we saw, and this question was asked to youth in the community safety survey, and we asked not only the youth but also the adults, but we're focusing here on the youth. If they know anybody that carries guns, do you know people who own a gun, or if they know how to obtain a gun? And so something that popped up of interest was that 20% of the youth responded that they know how to get a gun. And I'm not sure if Maida wants to add to this.
Just in an effort to, continue to do inquiry in this area. And as the backbone to South County HEALS, the residents are also identified gun violence prevention as one of the 3 initiatives. And so we have a sense of moving forward with providing education around gun violence prevention with the SB 53 initiative, engaging parents and youth into these initiatives, any sort of safety storage of guns. Because this slide shows yes, 20%, but also a lot of them don't, right? And so we want to dig a bit more into that and find out and provide the education that the residents are requesting from us as well.
Thank you. Can you move down to Valley Palm's chronic absenteeism? Okay. So here we wanted to highlight chronic absenteeism for the Valley Palms area partner schools, which was Catherine Smith and Leyva Middle School. So here we see chronic absenteeism increased also during the pandemic, but this past fiscal year we also saw a decrease. And as Maida mentioned, NSU has been doing a lot of similar campaigns that she'll talk about now.
Thank you. Similar to our Gilroy schools, we also made sure that we implemented an attendance campaign for both of the schools that we work in, Catherine Smith and Leyva Middle School. At Catherine Smith Elementary, they did an attendance awareness month, which was celebrated for the first time in September. The sixth grade level achieved the highest attendance rate, which was at 97%, and was rewarded with a pizza party. The principal, Mr. Gaitan, noted that attendance was significantly better this year compared to last year, and he attributes to the success to the expanded enrichment programs that require regular attendance and adherence to the PBIS expectations. And then at Leyva Middle School, the attendance campaign also included an attendance awareness month, and so classes that achieved 90% or higher attendance were rewarded with a treat, with an average of 7 to 8 classes meeting the goal each week throughout the month. To strengthen connection with families, letters were sent home, and staff scheduled conversations with parents to discuss the importance of attendance and inform them of chronic absenteeism and what that was, because sometimes parents aren't aware of the legal ramifications of that. Also, Leyva hosted an assembly to recognize students with 90% attendance or higher, and at both schools, the community liaisons were pivotal in reaching out to parents in regards to any attendance issues.
Next slide, please. So here's another highlight for Valley Palms community, which is the number of vehicle pedestrian incidents. So we obtained this data from the UC Berkeley Transportation Injury Mapping System, which tracks incident locations and incident types all across California. And so here we looked at vehicle pedestrian incidents within 1 mile of Catherine Smith Elementary School. So prior to fiscal year 2019-2020, the number of vehicle pedestrian incidents averaged 15.3 incidents per year, while the average number of incidents between fiscal year 2019 and 2022, there was only they averaged 9 incidents per year. And this is significant because in that time frame, there was a crosswalk that was created and developed right across the street from the Valley Palms apartment complex. And also around the same time, the implementation of the walking bus, which I'm not sure if Maida wants to talk a little bit more about.
I'm going to revert that to Susanna, if that's okay.
Hi, good afternoon. Yeah, so the walking school bus was implemented by a resident leader, and there's plenty of families that live in Valley Palms that take their kiddos to Catherine Smith, and they all walk together but separately. And one of the leaders and also a parent, she came up with the idea of like a walking school bus. Like, why don't we walk together if we're already walking separate? And with the support of the community liaison at the time and the principal at the time, it did get a lot of traction. We got behavioral health behind us, and they provided some safety vests, and they provided snacks, and then we provided personnel. We went out to support. We obviously can't go every single day, but they know like if they needed more support from the principal, we were there to offer support. And I think that added to kiddos also being motivated to go walk to school with their friends and their neighbors instead of just feeling like they're doing it alone. And to add to that, the safety component as well. Some kids were just like adding on the way that would already walk on their own. And we had a huge celebration this past fiscal year with all of San Jose PD with their support as well. And they walked along with us. And with that, we also took advantage and made it a positive impact with the kids, with that interaction between parents, kids, and the police department.
Great, thank you, Susanna. Just to share a little bit of collective impact and some takeaways, Mariel did mention this, I'm just going to reiterate some of it. So in the previous fiscal year, Venture Leadership assisted us in ways to measure community collective impact. So the scorecard is intended to capture longitudinal trends in key investment areas and provides a snapshot of some of the progress that has been made since NSU began the work in reference to the communities we work in the schools. The intent is not to state that NSU is responsible for these achievements or areas of improvement, but to better understand how NSU contributes to collective efforts in our key investment areas. And so NSU believes that community cohesion is the foundation of a thriving society, fostering unity and harmony amongst its community members. It reflects a shared sense of belonging, collaboration, and mutual support within the community. This sort of connectedness is vital to collective well-being. It contributes to social stability, economic progress, and an improved quality of life. When we observe that when residents feel connected to their community, they are more engaged in community activities, more willing to support each other, and take greater pride in their neighborhood. This bond forms a resilient social network, initiating residents around a common identity and shared goals or any sort of call to action initiatives. When individuals feel a strong sense of connection to their community, they're more inclined to seek out social support, utilize available resources, and take advantage of opportunities that enhance their overall well-being and those of their families. The effectiveness of community impact initiatives like those led by NSU depends on fostering collaborative environments, which is super important for the work, where residents, youth, leaders feel recognized, included, and valued. Community cohesion for NSU is essential for the success of the Violence Prevention Initiative. By fostering unity, collaboration, and mutual support, communities are empowered to overcome challenges, thrive, and improve collective well-being. The NSU team is committed to fostering community engagement, building on trust, transparency, and alignment with community values to collectively create a lasting and meaningful impact. The experiences shared by youth, adults, and families and the NSU partners underscores the importance of recognizing all stakeholders as equal partners, ensuring that their voice and concerns are valued. When communities are united and well-supported, they become capable of navigating challenges, creating an environment where collaboration flourishes, and NSU's commitment to prioritizing strong and inclusive partnerships will continue to strengthen its efforts to lead sustainable progress and positive outcomes for youth, adults, and families in each of the communities that we serve. Thank you. Any questions?
Thank you. I was waiting for my cue.
Yeah.
Excellent presentation. And before we begin to have a conversation, I'll check in with our public comment.
We do not have any requests to speak.
All right. Okay, so my co-chair.
First off, thank you so much for this presentation. And I just want to say how much I'm such a huge fan of the NSU program. I think one thing is that in the public's imagination, right, probation carries potentially a restrictive or punitive type of tone or perception to it. But the thing is that, you know, our probation department and through this NSU program, we do so much more. And it's such a holistic approach to wellness and community and taking into account all the neighbors and all the families as part of a system of care to be there for one another. So just thank you for your work and for your commitment to this. I think every single NSU, every member of your NSU team I've ever met, Maria, has always spoke with such passion and such love. And I've seen everybody just able to just refer to families or reference families like by name and like, oh, they live over there, and this is, you know, that one likes to ride his bike and that one likes to play more soccer. So I just wanted to start off with just my appreciation and gratitude for your work. Couple questions. In relation to chronic absenteeism, just the amount of work, I mean, it's very thoughtful, it's very in-depth. In all of our parent engagement and family engagement, I'm sure there are, but I'd love to hear if you're able to share like some of the trends or as to why the chronic absenteeism. Is it I don't know, like, is it dental care? Is it lack of food? Is it, what is it that is causing our kids not go to school, to show up for roll call?
It's a combination of things. I'm gonna have Veranda share some of the things that Elliot and Glenview has shared with us, and then I can supplement if needed.
Good afternoon, committee members. Veranda Lopez. I'm delighted to answer your question on behalf of Gilroy. We do have a partnership with Gilroy Unified, specifically Elliott and Glenview Elementary School. And honestly, it's a combination of factors. Right now, the school district is looking at getting back to the same levels of attendance as prior to COVID. Very slowly but steadily, we're getting back to those levels. For these two schools, however, the factors here at play are parent engagement. We've seen a loss of a lot of our parents that used to be part of like Parent Club, ELAC Club, and that's just because of the timing sometimes of the meetings. They happen before school, which for a lot of our parents, they do work, or they simply just don't have the time to attend to these meetings. So I've been working closely with the schools to let's change up the time of these meetings and get our parents involved. It's also a lot of school refusal from the young children. We've seen it a lot from kindergarten all the way up to 5th grade. And it could be for a number of reasons. It could be they're facing bullying at school, they're just not feeling well. There's still a lot of anxiety around COVID. Unfortunately, right, we're going into a new school year in 2024, and that's still around for a lot of the littles. So it's a combination of a lot of different things. Another one I would like to point out for the committee to know is the lack of resources sometimes for our families. A lot of them have mentioned, I just don't have transportation. And I've assisted a couple of students with getting them bikes to get to school, bikes and helmets, of course, to be able to get them to school. For other parents is, I don't have a car, my car broke down, I don't have money for gas, or I don't have someone to take my child to school. And one of the things that I've been actively working with the community liaisons at these schools is, let's bring over the walking school bus. I actually got that idea from Susana. We have a lot of the students that just live in the surrounding neighborhoods, and we would love to implement something like that because we do have the resources that we can pull through. A lot of them county partners, of course, that we can utilize. So, it's a lot of work coming into the new school year, but that's why we have the entire summer. I wish I could give you a direct answer as to why, we're seeing the chronic absenteeism, but to be honest, it's just a combination of a lot of different things. And currently with the current administration, there's a lot of fear also with their families. As much as we assure them that we do have these safe spaces, there's still that worry for our families. And, we try our best to give them the information in real time. But again, there's still that insecurity and anxiety.
Yeah, that's so true. I know that these reports are prepared well in advance, right? But what we see in the changing landscape today is happening in real time. With just more absent. I suspect that our rates of chronic absenteeism will be higher. I would love to be wrong, but just seeing what we see in the schools and through our offices right now is parents are afraid to take their kids to school. But the part about kids, the child's preference, I was like, we have that option? Like kids have that option? But no, it's very, very real, the different factors that would prevent them, cause them to have great anxiety to attend class and come to school. I'm going to add part of this think bubble tank here, like the walking school bus, brilliant. A bike bus. I mean, if you're getting kids like bikes and helmets to school, right? Is there like a bike bus day where the kids can all roll together, and then also give us an opportunity to see where additional bikes could be donated?
Yes, of course. We would love to partner to get more bikes out to Gilroy. Biking is definitely a huge interest of kids. We don't have like a bike, like a skate park. We have one for a bike park. We would love to bring that to Gilroy at some point. But for sure, great idea to bring like a bike bus.
Thank you. And then, and I wrote down personal choice, like question mark. It's hard out there for our kids. And so for the engagement, I guess same question for work at at Valley Palms. If we've seen any trends as to why our students are not going to school for the chronic, any reasons behind or causes behind the chronic absenteeism there?
You can go ahead, yeah.
Yeah, to reiterate a lot of the same things that Miranda has mentioned, but I heard from parents a lot of the times like their kiddo just has a small cough, and since COVID, the school staff has gotten cracked down a little bit more on that. Before they could go with like a runny nose, and now they're very, very strict. Like if they look a little lethargic, if they look like they're coming down with something, a lot of parents have said like we just got to call immediately to come pick up, and they have to not have a fever for 24 hours. They're a lot more strict, they say. For specifically for East San Jose, there's been a lot of principal turnaround. We're going on our third year of just a different principal, combining both Leyva Middle School and Catherine Smith Elementary, and that affects everything down to the relationships that they had, that the principals had with the kids, with the parents. So that does affect a lot. And I think at the elementary level, a lot of it, like Miranda mentioned, is the parents, like the parents' ability to get them to school, at what time they're going to bed, at what time are they feeling well. We have heard a lot of bullying and a lot of online bullying. So at that age, at any age, right, but at that age to not even barely understand why you're being bullied is a huge factor of being able to feel safe at school. And I believe if there was more staff, like yard duty staff or more on-campus staff, that would help maybe have a safe person for the kids to go to during recess or lunch hours. But yeah, both schools have implemented a wellness center with the support of Pacific Clinics and other organizations. So we hope to see those results this year.
Yeah, thank you so much for that. I'm going to switch gears over to the activities at Valley Palms. So the desire for more soccer,
Yes.
soccer access, more football. I know that. I guess a clarifying question: was the 12-week soccer clinic instituted in response to the youth's desire for more access to the soccer fields, or was that already in place?
We had one in place already through Valley Palms Unidos with Claudia Galdames and Marilu Cepeda. And they were doing it as like Valley Palms Unidos and hosting it with the Quakes. And then when we then saw the survey results, we wanted to make sure that our partner Pacific Clinics was the one that's going to, now take on the responsibility of making sure that they provide stipends to residents who are providing these clinics, so that it's equitable and organized, and that there's more, because I think what the youth were asking for is we want it to be like an actual soccer sessions that we go to. As you know, a lot of extracurricular activities can be anywhere between like $200 to $250 to actually join, and to be able to provide this, through our partner has been exceptional. And so far it's going really great, and we are planning to do it again once these are over. Yeah.
Thank you for that. Thank you for your work there. So was it with the 12-week clinic that the kids said, we want more soccer, we love it so much, we want even more? Or was it absent the 12-week soccer clinic that they wanted more?
It was essentially the survey results that we saw, which came before the soccer clinics with our partner. And that's why we implemented and made sure that we partner with Pacific Clinics, and we provided more funding as well so they can actually do it.
Yeah, thank you for that clarification.
Yeah.
I couldn't tell from the ledge file if it was something that was done at the same time, or because it'd be a different story, right? If we already had the 12-week clinic and then they still wanted more, it's like, yeah, rage on, let's do it.
Yeah, so it was informed by the community safety survey, and then while they're in it now, they still want more. Yeah, so more, please, is what they're saying. Yes.
More of everything. Okay.
More of everything, yeah.
How do we get more?
We are in close partnership with Pacific Clinics and Valley Palms Unidos, and we come up with the pro-social activities together based on the findings of the community safety survey. And so they want more arts and crafts. We made sure to connect them to some folks at Mexican Heritage Plaza so that they can have access to the Mali, to the Multicultural Arts Leadership Institute artists, so that they can then have like a host of artists who provide performance, visual arts, and that way, we can continue to have more pro-social activities around what the youth want.
One thing I will point out is that the timing of the survey doesn't always coincide with the like we're usually already in the fiscal year when we get survey results back. So what Myra tries to do is that during the year she makes the adjustments that she can within the budget that's already allocated. And then what, for example, with Pacific Clinics, we have a relationship with them so that they're our backbone provider at Valley Palms, and we were able to work with them so that instead of maybe, that they're able to offer more of a specific type of activity starting in FY26. So that's kind of what Myra's talking about. So while some changes can be made midstream throughout the year, other changes are either tied to the school year or perhaps tied to the fiscal year. So, I think this year we also expand, for FY26, we're also expanding some of our Bossy programming to additional schools. So Bossy also does soccer clinics. And we do those at other additional schools for pro-social activities. That's separate and apart from what we do specifically at Valley Palms.
And from the Allen Rock schools that closed, Bossy is following those students to the new schools that they will be going to as well.
Yeah, that's so good to hear.
Yes.
And just, again, thank you so much for all of your work and with the level of care and commitment that you put into this. I think both the report and this presentation today and the conversation has really helped me understand more fully the extent of the work that you do. And, the very real fear, right? The founded fear is that these times really impact our communities where your work is happening. And trying to figure out a way to ask this, but just I know it's a little premature too, and not trying to put you on the spot, but in terms of what's happening, the fear of taking your kids to even taking your kids to school, the fear of going to work now, the fear of showing up for programming or just even leaving your home. What is the vision for augmenting our programming, or if there's any need or a plan to augment to meet this moment?
Our resident leaders are 100% connected to many residents. And when the concerns of, the immigration issues going on came up, I mean, they were at the forefront of it all and starting to do rapid response and know your rights education way before, it kind of started to get pretty bad. And so the resident leaders are very much like the pulse of where we need to go, what we need to do, what resources we need to bring in. And both Veranda and Susana are very good at coordinating those resources and those presentations in each of the communities. And so even to the point where, there's plans that families have to make in order to prepare if there were a case where a parent was taken, a plan of where their child is going to go to, what caring adult can they be with, right? And so they made those plans as well, and it's important for us to revisit those conversations as these things keep happening, right? And as they develop, so that we can continue to provide the right resources for the community so that they feel like they are equipped with the correct information and they feel like they can navigate these issues.
And thank you for that. I'm heartened to hear that you're right. The whole team is right at the forefront of this, and you're right. The ladies and the moms and the aunts and the dads that head up this work locally, I would never say no to them.
Exactly. Yeah.
They know what they need. They know what they want. And I know that there's also been a lot of conversations around economic development.
Yes.
There's so much that's being balanced, right? And there's like a push for more co-op development models for our undocumented neighbors to be able to still participate in the local economy in a way that gives them more agency.
Yes.
Has any of our programming been able to support any of that? Or maybe that's not even our lane.
Absolutely, yeah. We partner with Sunday Friends Foundation this fiscal year to provide leadership and economic development. And part of that is supporting Valley Palms Unidos in becoming an entity. And so Maria Cepeda is kind of going through that learning phase, and they receive good feedback. And in Gilroy as well, we received a lot of positive response from the program. And folks are really happy with, the information they're receiving, being equipped with how to, create your own business. And it's empowered. You can tell that it's very empowering for them to be able to feel like equipped with this knowledge and become an entity to be able to provide for their families. I'm not sure if Susana or Veranda would like to share something.
Just to add a little bit to what Myra was mentioning, at least in Gilroy, we're very active in bringing the resources to community members. Back in February, we designated our entire community meeting, we call them cafecitos, to bring this type of information to them just because it was what they really wanted. We are thankful we have such a great connection with the Gilroy Police Department, and we brought them on board just to explain to residents as, there is no connection between them and immigration, just to kind of keep their minds at ease, right? And to not avoid them calling in case there's an emergency. We brought over some attorneys that were able to answer some of their questions. We've brought over agencies that provide the red cards just to let them know what their rights are. We have really amazing partners through SC Heals that will actually go out in community in real time. If someone reports to us, hey, we saw a certain someone over here, can you go check? And we like to keep our community actively communicated through our text messages and through all of our channels. Additionally, we're actually working with Supervisor Arenas' team to bring over El Consulado Mexicano to San Isidro Center just to bring some workshops with information on family planning. We're also working with DFCS to kind of get information to them. And now is a wonderful opportunity because during the summertime, families have the opportunity to create a plan for themselves. Once the school year starts, that's when they start filling out all these emergency contact forms, and we want them to be prepared in case there's anything. So we're getting really great insight from them as to what they want to see. They've requested things like notary services, how do we connect them? We're working really hard to even provide them office hours at our center so they can get each of their individual questions answered or referred out to other partners. We're also grateful that we had the pop-up court recently in South County, which was amazing. So we had the opportunity to connect some families with some attorneys there. And of course, it's not enough time for them, so that's why we're actively working to bring them even more attorneys to come help them out, whether if it's at low cost or, hopefully we're shooting for pro bono, but we'll do the best we can. And even with our events, I know you had mentioned, right, like how are we addressing that fear? We're working as a team to come up with safety plans, in case something were to happen. We're very flexible, and we've learned to pivot a lot during these past couple of months. And community has been right there with us behind every single step of the way, and they'll let us know, we don't feel safe coming out, then that's okay. We'll switch it. We'll move it around, whatever it takes to keep you all engaged and make you feel safe in coming out. Because at the end of the day, we want you to enjoy these things because they're for you and you've asked for them. So just being flexible and working with them.
Can you share a bit of the Sunday Friends efforts?
Of course.
There?
Yes, we recently had actually Sunday Friends complete their cohort with our members. We actually just met with them this morning to kind of do a little bit of synopsis of what happened during those days, but really engaging them and keeping them more active in our economy, letting them know there's things that they can do aside from the regular jobs. And this has been super helpful because with the pandemic, a lot of our residents have had to get creative. Right now, we're facing a really hard economic time, so it's really great to have them feel empowered and have someone teach them every step of the way what they can accomplish. And we're already in the talks of how we're going to bring this back and engage even more residents. But we're very, very confident that this program will keep going. And even though it's just a one-time thing and we've already had our exhibition, we're going to keep it moving. And our residents, like one of you were mentioning, we definitely know them by the first name. So we'll keep working with them and connecting them in any way we can to other resources and other partners, because we want them to thrive at the end of the day and build something sustainable for their families in the long run.
Absolutely. Just thank you. I can't thank you enough. I relay my appreciation enough. And the depth of your engagement with a very vulnerable population right now that's living in real-time fear, it speaks volumes of your work. Are these experiences what you're learning from, or you're gleaning from community directly from families? Are we cross-referencing or sharing that with our Office of Immigrant Relations as they're firming up and developing their ongoing plans for immigration protection and defense?
Not necessarily, but I think Miranda has something to share.
To add a little bit, yes, we are in contact with them. We've actually reached out to them when we ran low on red cards because they were very hard to find at some point. So we do reach out to them in terms of resources and specifically in asking them for lawyers. A lot of our residents have asked specifically for things like family planning, which is a very real fear. So we do connect with all of our partners that we can, and that includes the Office of Immigrant Relations. A lot of it also connecting with DFCS and with SSA, of course, and also working alongside with our Gilroy Unified partners because each school site does have a community liaison. So even connecting them to those resources, has been a huge blessing because Susan and I, we have that ability to connect with other county departments.
Yeah, if I could just make a request to see if folks can, if our respective offices between NSC and OAR can just have a huddle or coming together to be able to see how to share feedback, how to share experiences, and just how OIR can take this information, right, what you're experiencing on the ground level to inform the policy recommendations they're making, to inform the investment decisions that they're making. I think that would be very fruitful because, again, the depth of your engagement and trust and relationships with a community that's very that's just under siege right now, right? Like it's hard for other entities, especially government agencies, to be able to extract this level of information. But if that's what this is built on years of relationship building, relationship making, can we inform this really big policy piece that we have right now before us by this information to make it just even more fine-tuned?
That would be great. We welcome that. Definitely.
Thank you.
Is it a motion?
That's it. Oh, does that need to be a motion? Which I can make it a motion. Yeah. So I'll make a motion to receive report with additional direction to convene with the Office of Immigrant Relations for information sharing, data sharing, to inform future policy and budgetary recommendations.
And I second that. And I'm going to continue in that same vein. This level of coordination of collective efforts, and I know that you've mentioned it previously. We heard in item 4, and I think you were in the room, how we were talking about funding and how to maximize opportunities through the fee schedule program with certain school districts. And for me, this coordination and collective effort, I think there's an item 4, item 5. We talked about some of the, I forget which one it was, but this was the funding, the resource guide, and then of course the garbage and recycling assistance. All of that put together, I think needs to have a place, a way to pull in everything. And this is why these committees are so important, right? So that we can find that strand that ties all of these things up. And so part of my question is, how do you do that? How do you collectively, because there's also other really important folks who take part in the work that you're doing, and I think you already mentioned some of them. For South County, I'll say the South County Youth Task Force, right? And you talked about South County Heals and the work that they, and the role that they take in terms of contributing. And so I guess I'm wondering, for NSU, do you hold maybe an annual conversation in terms of lessons learned, the folks who are contributing, the different ways that you can pull in from the different systems? Because what I'm really looking for is system coordination improvement so that you can continue to render the kind of collective effort that you are making. Some of it I'm going to guess that it's because you're there and it's relationship building, right? But the other piece, and I think you heard me say this in another item, is what is strategic though? What is it that you actually need? And one of the things that I'm hearing in the report is about chronic absenteeism. And while I think, the efforts of the one particular principal, and I think it's fabulous to do the duck day, and I think it's everybody loves those little ducks, right? But the other piece of it, and I've brought this up in other in other spaces, is that kids are missing school, and part of missing school is falling behind, and part of falling behind is maybe a misdiagnosed learning issue or trauma or whatever else that creates anxiety for those kids, whether it's economic issues that are happening in the household, and how are we holding and supporting those families as part of the bigger picture. And so for me, one of those things that I think I would like to see is for NSU to hold that conversation on an annual basis, to invite us as also as part of that those partners that hold that community, because we also, not only do you do this through relationship building and coordination and maximizing efforts, but there's also a grant program that you have. There's inventory grants that we have, and we're not coordinating. Truth is, we're not coordinating, right? And I take that as part of my responsibility to do with you, and part of the opportunity here is for us to begin to have those kinds of conversations, right? Because I would love to see us comprehensively supporting these very micro neighborhoods, so that we can find what actually works, and you're finding what actually works, right? And a lot of our promotora kind of type of outreach and relationship building really works, especially in South County. I've seen it as well in Valley Palms, because K.R. Smith was a school that I really focused on. We did a lot of work around that. We actually in that neighborhood, for the very first time, I think it was like 15 or 20 years, we got them speed bumps in that neighborhood that no other neighborhood association was able to do. And everybody was jealous. And everybody was asking for them, right? And we managed to do that with the power of the neighborhood association there, right? And the relationships that we held with the schools, and just everybody coming really together to request that. And so when I saw that graph that showed a reduction, I was like, oh, well, hopefully that contributed. And I'd love to offline ask you where exactly those incidents were, if they were off the major streets or internally to that neighborhood, because I think I would love to just see and close the loop on some of the efforts that you make previous to where I'm at now, right? Everything feeds into the system, but then I also saw an increase back again, right? In terms of the incidents, and so it also speaks to a sustained effort for a community that continues to maybe have a level of turnover, because those are multiplex apartments. And while there's a lot of families that continue to live there for a really long time, we know the reality of housing in this area, right? And so I think these are really just, these kinds of conversations really pull me in and trigger this question about how do we, as a system, continue to be responsive to the needs of the community as they change, right? But be efficient with the kinds of collaborations that we have, and so that we can count on these conversations. I think you and I, co-chair, we both asked for this conversation, right? But I think we should have a standing conversation so that we can pull all of these elements in, and maybe some of the conversations that you may not be part of, that we're part of in other committees or in other bodies, that can help with the larger picture, right? And for this strategy, right? And maybe to build out more relationships so we can maximize efforts, and especially as we're moving in a direction where we may not have all the resources that we usually can count on. And so for me, it's a conversation about strategy, and then really comprehensively looking at what the needs of the community are. I was really interested in your survey and let me just close the conversation on the piece that I first brought up, and that is chronic absenteeism, the piece that I'm missing here and that I would love to see. And I don't know, I'm going to ask a more comprehensive list of what has been funded, and I'm hopeful that I will see tutoring as part of that. Because if we know that there's chronic absenteeism, and this is something that I brought up in the youth empowerment, the YAY, formerly known as the Mayor's Gang Task Force, is that if we're talking about chronic absenteeism, we must have a married conversation about about tutoring, something that was already missing previous to the chronic absenteeism, and it probably deepens where kids are, right? If they were in trouble before, now they're really in trouble. And the systems right now may be able to overlook them, but when they don't graduate high school, or when they're placed in a different path in a community school or alternative school, they may not graduate, right? And then we've lost them until maybe they find their way back and look for ways to obtain that high school diploma, right? So all this to say, for me, I would love to have a more strategic conversation about how we partner with NSU and the other really important contributors of the community, such as Project Hope for the city of San Jose. And I say this because I know this area very well, this Welch area. We did, like I said, we did quite a bit of work, but it also matters the relationships that you build, right? And some of the, like, I think you mentioned it, some of the principals have had, there's been a turnover for K.R. Smith, and certainly the principals that we worked with back then aren't there. And everybody brings in their own dynamic, and it takes a while for folks to actually build that up, to establish trust. All of that, right, takes time, and I recognize that. Although if we have a mechanism, it just kind of, we can do our dance, regardless of who is in the positions that may change, or the housing, or the residents that may come through, right? That we are coordinating our efforts and maximizing, because I'd love to see how I can, in my inventory grants, help augment the efforts that are being done by your team, right, and by our community, because I think it just makes sense. And so I take that responsibility on. I'll ask for maybe in an off-agenda report to, if we can add this to part of the motion, ask for an off-agenda report about I think it's about 12 contracts that are being funded through the NSU grants, and ask for the deliverables, the utilization rates, how are the grants monitored, how each of those grants address the kinds of survey feedback that you've identified, and then how do some of those metrics that you use to figure out whether you've been successful the year before, how did those change with the kind of contracts that you have funded and the survey responses that you have seen?
Yes.
Does that make sense?
Absolutely.
Yes.
And
Let me jump in.
Go ahead.
Sorry. Thanks, Myra. So just a couple of points that I'd like to make in response. So we are more than happy to provide all of that information. We have a wonderful management analyst who's here, Roger Gutierrez, who meets with the vendors, with our contractors every month. And then Myra also, prior to COVID, we had been doing in-person quarterly meetings with each community and all of the providers together. Those did stop during COVID just because our efforts pivoted to different activities. Now that we are back very firmly into the work of the traditional work of NSU, we have restarted those, and so I think we did 3 this year, maybe 4. And so all of our providers are required to attend those. I think where an area of improvement that we can go back and look at is how do we get the rest of our our county partners that aren't necessarily funded through NSU to also come and participate so that they're hearing the same things we're hearing. So we definitely take that as a great piece of feedback that we'll figure out how to incorporate. And we'd be happy to provide you that report on the different metrics, because we do keep a lot of data related to all of these contracts, who they serve, what they do, whether or not they're spending down the full amount of their activities, their budgets. All of them have deliverable-based work plans that we'd be happy to share that are public. So that would not be a problem for us.
Wonderful. So the second part of that friendly amendment is not only to do to ask for that off-agenda report, to ask for all those items that I outlined, but also to help coordinate, and I think I heard you say this already, the providers as well as county relevant services or programs that can help contribute to the efforts that you're already well in full gear of doing. So I'd love to see if we can get that in.
Absolutely. Happy to accept the friendly amendment to the motion.
Perfect. Awesome. And so, you know, the last piece that I'm going to ask for is, I was, you know, just really scared about the gun survey piece. And you brought up a really good point, and I'm not sure who actually brought this up, but credit to you, about talking about the gun storage element, because Gilroy, I think, is the last city that does not have policy around gun storage. And when I first stepped into the supervisor role, I brought this up to the previous mayor in a South County Youth Task Force meeting, because we were public health was reporting on the cost of gun violence, and they, I think they were about to talk about this. The appetite of that council was not to approve it, and so that's 2 years ago, right? And I think this is where I think these kinds of conversations are really important to, so that we have them and we understand, we connect the work that you're doing with policy work that we can move along, right? Because I think this, to me, speaks about my role in pursuing maybe a gun storage policy request, and not only to the mayor and to the council, and lobby it in a way that we think could have a pathway to victory, and that is only by having members of the public come in and continually talk about the dangers of guns, the risks that they are taking as community members not having this policy in place, and how this kind of policy at the city council level would create accountability in families and the community, because, you know, I think there was, I mean, you know, the percentages in terms of the youth that knew how to get a gun were about 20% in one place, 17% in the other, and I forget which is which, but either one is around 20%. That, to me, is scary. And then I think it was in South County, there was a high percentage, about I think 80 or 90%, saying that they knew somebody who would bring in a gun or carry a gun. They didn't say necessarily, I don't think, to school, but would carry a gun for protection, right? And so then that also speaks to the level of safety that those folks are feeling. And I apologize if I didn't correctly reflect that. I don't know if it was in school or if it was in community. Do you offhand remember that piece?
I don't think we track where they're bringing them. It's just that if they carry them, the survey isn't specific as to the location in which they're carrying them.
Yeah.
But yes, but I hear what you're saying.
Well, and then this is my next question is, how are you differentiating, or how can you differentiate between what the parent concerns are when you collect surveys and then the youth concerns, right? Because parents could maybe be taking a majority of the survey results, right, and saying, my kid really needs after-school program, and the kids are like, nope, that's not what we want, but we want after-school program that looks like this, and not like my mom and dad said in their survey like that, right? And I think that is also really important in understanding how responsive you are and the kinds of programming that you can then share to the educational leaders and then to folks like us who can, we're doing inventory grants and have partnerships with other folks, and we can say, this is what we really love to grow and fund in a particular year. And so this is how I really want us to connect the dots.
And I think that's why we provide adult surveys and youth surveys, so that we get feedback from both of them that are specific to their own needs, right? I think this one specifically is an area of inquiry because, we want to make sure that we provide the appropriate education to parents and youth about guns and safe storage. And I believe there's a new law, SB 53, that we're working on with the DA's office, Gun Violence Prevention Work Group, to be able to create a marketing package to then bring it on to the communities and provide that information as well. And talking about and educating the community about healthy relationships as well, and prevention of domestic violence, because in DV, guns are typically used, and the safe storage. Sometimes, what we hear is parents think it's safe to have the gun at the top of the closet, and it really is not safe. And so we also considered chain locks, I believe is what they're called, which they're more cost efficient versus like a box. And so we're having these conversations with the community and other government stakeholders to be able to provide this coming up this fiscal year.
We also, several of our contracts include gun prevention activities for the community. So in addition to Myra's direct work with the DA's gun prevention work group, which I think you're co-chairing or chairing, our contracts and our service providers are also doing gun prevention workshops with our families and with youth. So I do think that this is an area where we need to spend more time, and we're happy to partner with your office in any way to support the passage of a safe storage ordinance similar to what we have done in the rest of the county. So however we can support you in that effort, we'd be happy to.
Love it, love it. Okay, and I apologize. Yes, you did differentiate between the youth. I think it was in particular with the gun storage and some other pieces. And then I think in some other pieces of the survey it just said residents, right? So I'm assuming both parent and kid or youth were involved in the response. So thank you. That really, I mean, I want to thank you for the investment in the community, because I know it's not just the work that you do, but it's the kind of relationships that you establish in order to get the work done, right? You have to have the most effective kinds of relationships that allow you to not only enter into their homes and into their communities, but to also maybe lead conversations in some uncomfortable spaces. And so I thank you for doing a lot of that really difficult work. And please count on me as a partner in elevating and maximizing the efforts. And so I look forward to seeing what this upcoming year looks like. And I'll also ask if we can please have a more recent, because this is 23, 24 activities, right? And for me, if we have a very well-timed conversation, we can also impact the budget in a different, this is for me, right? This may not, I want to be able to impact the budget in a meaningful way on your behalf. You're not asking me to do this, I'm asking myself to do this, right? And so in order for us to do that, it seems like this is a lesson from a year ago that we've learned, right? And we're in the middle of it. So I'm going to ask for us to update our activities and for those reports to come in from the previous year versus a year and a half previous, or whatever the previous fiscal year that is ended. So I'm going to ask that also be part of the motion.
Happy to amend.
Perfect. Who's speaking? Okay, nobody's speaking.
Oh.
Thank you. Uh-huh.
Yeah, and Chair, if I had one more question for
Oh,
this
yes, of
item.
course,
Yeah,
of
and this
course.
is really spurred on by conversation, so I see my staff panicking, sorry. We usually don't do things on the fly off the dais. But, just what you were referencing earlier about the different various items that we had talked about today. So a lot of your work is very Promotora's frameworked, right? And also also includes some partnerships there. And of course, your experience sees this happening in real time and how effective that is. So what I've learned about recently, is that some Promotora's work is is Medi-Cal reimbursable, and just taking into account the presentation we had earlier today, like Latinas Contra Cancer has been billing Medi-Cal for reimbursements for some of the Promotora's work. So has Somos Mayfair has also been doing some of that. And I think in the last month, this new app has been produced, like in the world of apps, that allows nonprofits to run a check as to whether their service type is Medi-Cal reimbursable. So I don't think this is going to be a motion for NSU to put on your deck, but looking to our leadership here and across the dais, where we can try to understand or delve into more, look into more, Greta, I see your light lit up, where Promotora's work can be Medi-Cal reimbursable. I know not all of it is, and part of the plight of our community partners right now is kind of a trial and error process, like a check and see. They send the reimbursement, or they try to bill for certain services, a bunch of it gets denied, they log that into this community brain trust, and then for those that do receive Medi-Cal reimbursement, that's something that's then shared.
We can definitely explore that already. We have a close relationship with Latinas Contra Cancer.
I think Greta wanted to respond.
Oh, sorry, go ahead.
No, that's totally fine, and glad to have you weigh in too. I absolutely happy to look into that. I know more generally, and I appreciate you referencing the report that Key provided earlier, as we face what you both know is a incredibly challenging anticipated budget for fiscal 27. We are looking for every opportunity to convert existing programming or opportunities for programmatic expansion to funding streams where we're better able to leverage non-general fund sources, so we can use our general fund resources to preserve services, really. And so happy to look into that in this vein, and to see also if there are even minor tweaks that we can make that render certain things reimbursable that currently are not. I think there's going to be a lot of need to look for those sorts of opportunities. And I know that not only are we looking for that definitely expansively through behavioral health, Office of Supportive Housing, and social services, but probably have more opportunities in our criminal justice sphere, especially since probation and many of our other criminal justice departments are really heavily general fund supported.
Thank you. That's it for me, Chair.
Wonderful. And we'll look to our clerk.
Vice Chairperson Young
Yes.
and Chairperson Arenas.
Yes.
Thank you. Motion carries.
Awesome.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for the report and all of the really good work. So we are going to move on to item 8, and this is receiving the report from Probation Department relating to use of force incidents in juvenile custodial settings. Welcome.
Deputy Chief Ugaldi is making her way down to the table along with her manager, so she'll be introducing this item.
Hi, good afternoon, supervisors. My name is Jill Ugaldi, and I'm the Deputy Chief of the Institutional Services Division for Probation. Here with me today, we have our Research and Development representative, and that's Ms. Kim Ho. We also have our Probation Division managers from Juvenile Hall. That's Mr. Dan Cortez, Ms. Trina Gauthier, as well as our Probation Division managers from the James Ranch facility, Mr. Frank Nessie and Mr. Ashanti Hayes. We do not have a presentation for you today. However, we are more than welcoming any questions that you may have.
Thank you. I appreciate that. And then what I'm going to do is ask for public comment, and then I'm going to act surprised.
There are currently no requests to speak.
Okay. I said I was going to act, but no, I didn't. All right. So I am going to ask my co-chair for questions and comments.
Just thank you for this report, and thank you for the work that you do. I know that my office did send some questions in advance in terms of how we can get more demographic data involved, like when use of force does occur in our juvenile hall setting. What are the age ranges that we see? And I know that that's not in the report now, but something that staff has committed to incorporate more of in the future. Is that correct?
That is correct.
Great. That was, I think, more demographic information where it's allowed and where it's possible. I know that our population is kind of, it's going down, good. And when it becomes such a small number, right, that any type of demographic data might be a violation of their privacy. So I take that fully into account. But really what I'm trying to get at, the nut of it, is that, what are the trends, right? Amongst which age group are we seeing certain type of behaviors that would lead to the use of force, and is it with our older youth, our non-minor dependents that's in our care and custody? Is it amongst them? Does that change the workplace setting when it comes to safety also for our probation officers? So those are general thoughts and questions for future conversations. If there's any feedback or thoughts on it now, I welcome it, but that would be the extent of my questions today.
Sure, I can address that briefly. After conversation with several staff members, because this also went to PSJC yesterday, we are looking into reporting out on demographics, either on a calendar year or, if possible, quarterly. As you mentioned, there are privacy concerns related to re-identification of specific youth, especially younger youth or who are in our system, who are often in our system in very small numbers, 1 or 2 youth at a time. So we are going to be exploring the best way to extract that data from our data systems, and our IT team and research and development teams will be working with the managers to ensure that we can present that. The other things that we're looking to improve in future reports is also putting into context the overall population of the facilities, because we don't provide, per se, average daily population for the month, so that you can kind of see how that relates to the number of incidents. And there are far fewer youth at the ranch than there are at juvenile hall. So sometimes it looks like, oh, there's more of incidents, but it's also population based, right? So those are a few things that we're looking at improving in future reports. We may not be able to do them for the next quarterly report or biannual report, but we'll try our best.
Thank you.
Awesome. So those were going to be kind of my questions as well in terms of that incident report database. I know has had its challenges. And I think the menus need to be refined to better capture the data of the incidents. And so I'm wondering, how is that impacting reporting, the database?
So over the last several years since we've been doing this report, I think it's been 3 fiscal years that we've done, and we started doing them quarterly and then moved to a biannual basis about a year ago. The research and development team has worked with ITD and all of the facility managers and the quality systems teams within each organization to kind of limit the number and types of incident categories, so that and then retraining staff. And I'm happy to open it up to I see Trina nodding and other folks if they want to add more detail about that work. But it is an ongoing process, but it's definitely improved since we started this.
So you said limiting but I'm wondering, shouldn't it be more refined if
It refined, yes, refined meaning not giving people so many options so that there can be too many groups, but more so defining the categories better so that people can better understand what type of incident goes into which category.
Oh, I see. Instead of a drop-down menu of 50, yeah, 4 different categories, and in those 4 categories, or 5 categories, there's 10. Okay, got it. And you're saying that is something that is being worked on. When do you anticipate that being addressed?
Has that already been implemented? I think it has.
Yes, it has.
What are those categories? I'm just curious. Or how did you improve it?
We simplified the data to make a drop-down box so that staff just had physical restraint, mechanical restraint, both, mechanical for transport within the facility.
And then from those general categories, are they able to refine exactly what occurred, or is that enough? Because how many drop-down options were there previous to those? I think 3. You mentioned just 3.
They can select additional incident types to support and better categorize how the event occurred, and then of course the body of the report will have all the details of the incident.
Got it. Okay, thank you. I'm sometimes databases or sometimes technology can improve or dissuade you from finishing a report or making it as accurate as you can. And so I certainly appreciate the work that you're doing on this. And in the body of the report, you do mention the reason for the use of force. But there isn't it couldn't be a generic pull-down menu. Looked at me wrong. No, I'm kidding. That's not.
So any type of use of force incident occurs, the staff prepare an incident report that has many different areas within it. It has background to incident, it has incident events, and then it has a supervisor dispo. So everything is laid out chronologically by the staff member that was involved as to their part within the incident. So if there's ever any question as to exactly what that incident entailed, you could just read the body of the report to pull out that information.
Okay, got it. And do you, or how does it work when the incidents, is there a system that triggers like a flag, it flags it, this staff member has used this type of restraint or use of force excessively, and do you establish a baseline of what is excessive or what is typical? And I know it probably can vary depending on the population, the number of kiddos that are in the facility and all of that, but is there a baseline?
So there's not necessarily a baseline just because every single use of force incident can be completely different. So there is a referral process though, and anybody can report a use of force incident. So a parent can, the medical team whenever they observe someone. So medical responds to all use of force incidents in that they do a medical evaluation of the individual immediately following the incident. If there's any type of suspecting that the individual had force applied that was unnecessary, they would then make a referral, and then we would go through the investigation process. So there's not necessarily a baseline because every situation is so different that it needs to be assessed independently.
So it's based on complaint?
It's based on all of the investigation that's done when any use of force incident occurs.
Got it. Okay. So then I guess I'm trying to figure out how do you figure out whether there is a staff member that's problematic? Is that based on a human being adding something up, raising an eyebrow and saying, this particular staff member's name has come up a little too often. I'm trying to figure out systemically how is that getting determined and not by one person? How does the system figure that piece out?
So we do oversee that process. So our supervisors are present during any use of force incident. Also, the managers review all incident reports and use of force. We can refer to our video footage. And we also have oversight by the deputy chief. So I oversee all the incident reports as well. If there is a trend that we are noticing, that's when it comes to the forefront, and or if a referral is made or there's suspected use of excessive force.
Okay, so if you notice a trend, how would you determine what a trend is? 5, 3, 10, within 3 months, 6 months, a year? I guess I'm trying to have you tell me, how do you determine that?
So all determinations are truly made immediately. So even if
No, I mean overall. When you take a step back and say this member is now on their 6th use of force within a time frame of 3 months, how and who determines that to be a trend and a pattern? And I guess I'm hearing that there is, I know that every use of force could be very unique interaction, but those can accumulate over time, right? And so then who determines what that pattern is? How do you determine a pattern? I guess I'm trying to figure out, and maybe this is part of your next phase, is to help me understand, maybe determine what a pattern looks like in a system. Because if nobody's looking out for it, then it's no one's particular responsibility.
So Supervisor, if I could jump in here to
please
help
do.
clarify. So there are 2 separate processes that are involved when a use of force happens. So the first one is what this data is telling you about, which is incident reports, right? So every time there is a use of force within either facility, an incident report must be completed by the individual who did the use of force and anyone who witnessed it. Then there's the complaint process, which is outside and separate, that Jill mentioned, which that anytime a youth has been subject to use of force, they are reviewed by the health system, right? So the health system would determine if there's bruises or whatever, and then there's a separate report that would happen for that. Finally, after the manager's review and the deputy chief reviews, or if at any time any additional staff person says, we think this was excessive, they can report it to internal affairs. So there are multiple avenues to get things reported to internal affairs. And then internal affairs essentially tracks and investigates more thoroughly every single case, or the sheriff's office is called in the immediate sense where, like, let's say in the very, very rare occasion there's a severe incident where maybe a bone is broken or something, then the sheriff's office is actually immediately called to investigate, and they would go through their prosecution case. So at this point, when we're looking at incident reports, I think one thing to keep in mind is that every use of force, or the goal of the use of force, is that we only intervene when a young person is a danger to themselves or to others. If it's not for that purpose, then a review by multiple levels of management and internal affairs is involved.
Yes, but the decision on that determination is based on a human, right? Whether a person is a danger to themselves or to others. And so those kinds of determinations are not being balanced by a review of the overall or cumulative reports, whether they are by the staff member or the complainant. That's where I am having trouble figuring this piece out. And I also have an issue of a system internally reviewing and overseeing itself, because that is not a true review. Either it requires an outside agency to review its to be a check and balance. But what I'm hearing is there is no baseline, and there is no baseline of use of force or incidents to help me understand what that qualifies as, and then and you probably have this very much in legalese language that you'll answer and tell me what danger to themselves and to other qualifies, but still it's a human being making those determinations, right? And so what I'm asking is, one, is there who is responsible for putting together, looking at all of the incidents and determining this is excessive incident involving a particular staff member?
Sure. I'll defer to Deputy Chief Ugaldi, but I also want to say that we do review the quarterly reports with the management team, so people are reviewing those on an annual basis. And then I think Deputy Chief Ugaldi can also talk a little bit more about the general oversight of facilities and the number of audits, inspections that also cover incidents reports.
Thank you. So Supervisor Arenas, you have a great question, and we have many governing agencies that come in and that provide oversight to the juvenile hall facility and the James Ranch facility. That's our Board of State and Community Corrections, so BSCC comes in. They do pop-in audits of the facilities that are regular. We also have the Juvenile Justice Commission that also comes in and provides oversight. The JJC commissioners come in at least once a month, if not more, to provide oversight and read over all of our incident reports. And if they notice a pattern or they see anything that's of concern, they bring it to our attention right away for us to then investigate. The question that you have in regards to an internal process to flag the information within the incident reports, that's something that we can take back and discuss internally to see if there's a mechanism that we can implement that would provide that information to us more readily.
Thank you. I am also part of the JCC, and I appreciate you letting me know that the BSCC has pop-in audits. I don't know that my question is answered, and so I appreciate you saying that you'll take this back and help me further understand what that looks like, because I've yet to hear it, and maybe it's being lost somewhere in translation here, and so I know I'll go ahead and follow up with you at a later time or offline, and so I'll make a motion to approve and then to follow up with the question of how this system determines a baseline for excessive use of use of force incidents in each of those two facilities and overall. And then I'll wait for my second to come back in. I don't know if there's anything else that you wanted to add.
Sure, Supervisor, I'd be happy to add just one point of clarification. So the Juvenile Justice Commission, not the Juvenile Justice Systems Collaborative.
Oh.
So you're part of the Systems Collaborative. The Juvenile Justice Commission is actually statutorily required to provide oversight of our facilities. And so that's what we were referring to, is that they actually come in and look at the body of the reports every month and will raise any concerns. So they're a separate state and court-appointed body that reviews, in addition to the Board of State and Community Corrections.
Do they review in accumulation or the report that
Both.
they? Okay. Then that should have been answered from the, at the top of this conversation. And then what I would like to see is what those reports look like, so that I can then determine whether my question is answered or not.
Sure, and we'd be happy to provide you with the definition of excessive use of force.
No, I
We
don't
do
need
have a
the definition. What I need
policy.
is for you to help me figure out what that baseline is and who determines that, and then who oversees it. That's what I'm looking for.
Happy to provide that.
Perfect, thank you. And I'd love to get a second for that motion.
Second.
Thank you. All right, go ahead and count us out.
Vice Chairperson Jung?
Yes.
And Chairperson Arenas?
Yes.
Thank you. Motion carries.
Wonderful. Okay, thank you. all for being here. And then we're going to move forward with item number 9. This is to receive the report from Santa Clara Valley Healthcare relating to sexual response team committee activities. And so, not sure who's here to report. Oh, here we are. Thank you.
Good afternoon, supervisors. This is Gigi Gill. I'm the Regional Medical Center Nurse Executive and Director for the SAFE program for the Santa Clara Valley Healthcare.
Welcome.
And I am Anna Anton, the Nurse Manager of the SAFE Plus program.
We are
Welcome to
here
you both.
to present a report on SART committee activities.
We don't have any formal presentation today, but if you have any questions on the report summarizing the activities of the SART committee, we're happy to take them.
Wonderful. And before we begin the conversation, I'm going to ask for public comment.
We do not have any requests to speak.
Okay. And I'll look to my co-chair for her comments or questions.
Thank you, Chair. Just to relay my appreciation, my deep appreciation for the work that you do every day and for this very thorough presentation or report. I have no questions, just wanted to make sure I appreciate you all.
Thank you.
Wonderful, thank you. So I do have a couple of questions, and let me get my questions together. I think there is I'm going to have a couple of different questions based on the subcommittees. And this one has to do with the Systems and Policy Advocacy Committee, and I believe it was in January, at the January 23rd meeting, I asked for the SART committee to consider collaborative efforts between the Sexual Assault Response Team Committee and the Office of Intergovernmental Relations. I haven't seen any updates in this report with that, so I'm wondering if you could please share anything that the Systems and Policy Subcommittee is considering.
We haven't specifically worked with them right now. We certainly can. As we've stated in the report, we've worked with several other groups who are working on a lot of these efforts towards all of the events held in 2026, including collaboration with the Office of Gender-Based Violence Prevention, South Bay Coalition to End Human Trafficking, and the SART committee as a whole.
Thank you. I think there is, and I can't remember the bill offline, off the top of my head, but there is a bill that I'd love to mention to you about and get your perspective. I'll do that offline. And my chief of staff mentioned it to me, and I just don't have it in front of me. I completely have forgotten what the bill number is, but I know that it's not in the IGR's radar, and so I wondered maybe why, and if you had heard about it to get your feedback, but we can do that offline because I have terrible memory right now.
We are also members of a legislative update group that meets regularly involving many of the community-based nonprofit organizations. So it is likely a bill that is on our radar, but
Perfect.
Yes.
Perfect. Well, you know what? If it's important to you, then it's important to me, and it's important to, I'm sure, to the rest of our board. And I'd love to connect the dots and figure out how we get the IGR's team, or whatever is important to you and you have identified in your legislative conversations, so that they can also cross over to IGR and be on theirs. So I'd love to continue that conversation when my chief of staff is fabulous, and she just reminded me it's AB 878, Victims of Abuse or Violence, Reasonable Accommodations, and this is Assemblymember Ash Clara's bill. And so if it was something that you would be supportive, I'd love to move it forward in front of the IGR so we can also have a position of support for it as well. Under the Training and Resource Outreach Subcommittee, I'm going to move on to the following subcommittee. Really grateful to hear of all of the outreach efforts that are underway for our SAFE Plus training. and especially at our local schools and the colleges and the partnerships that you have already established. I heard about Evergreen and San Jose State College, so that's wonderful. And I'm wondering if there's anything in Gavilan College in Gilroy. Has that?
We've done one health fair there, and we will be reaching out as part of our efforts for this upcoming school year to hopefully get invited back and see what other ways we can participate as well.
That would be really important. As you, this is information you already know, but I would just want to make the connection between the higher incidence of strangulation in intimate partner violence incidents that are happening in South County. So I want to see how maybe you pivot or you provide a particular kind of a training or information to South County community to help support with that. Wonderful. And, you know, we're also, of course, in the South County Youth Task Force, and I think that's also another platform that can help distribute or be a very amenable platform for education. So I'd love to talk with you offline on that. Okay, so I'm going to move on to the Law Enforcement Agency Subcommittee, and I'm wondering if you can please share on the sexual assault suspect exams that launched earlier this spring, if there's any update.
Yes, so it's not typically a high volume exam. There's a small subset that would qualify for that exam, but we have done.
And what do they entail? I'm so sorry to interject.
So it's evidence collection, primarily swabs and photographs of suspects who are apprehended within the first couple of days following an assault. If law enforcement deems that they think a suspect exam would be beneficial to the overall case, they can call us and we'll go out and perform that exam or perform it in the emergency department if needed. So we have done several, and they have gone very well. It's been a great collaboration between law enforcement and our program.
That's amazing. And if they are just a suspect, is this something that is voluntary that could help them be eliminated, or and usually is this something that suspects are not participating?
Good question. So in this jurisdiction, we have opted to require a warrant so that the process is smooth. When they have been done historically, suspects could opt into consenting, but the experience was often that once our team arrived, they would then withdraw that consent, and to move forward, we would need a warrant anyways. But generally speaking, what we've experienced is cooperation in the process, because if they are not cooperative and it's deemed an unsafe situation, we won't proceed.
Of course, of course. Okay, so it sounds like you, the movement to require a warrant was because of lessons learned that typically if they were just under, voluntary, they, as soon as you get there, open up the mouth and they're like, nope.
Right.
Okay, well, that is unfortunate, but I guess expected. I really appreciate all of the really good work that you're all doing, and appreciate the attention to South County through the subcommittees, and of course in general for all of the activities that you do to make sure that we as a county continue to move all of this forward, so all of your work forward. So thank you. I don't know if there's anything that you would like to share with us that, maybe I didn't ask you about, but.
I think just on the topic of South County, we are also participating in the upcoming planning conversations taking place for the South County CAC, which we're excited to be a part of, and continuing to build relationships with all of the agencies down there. We have a meeting coming up very shortly between staff at the hospital with Gilroy PD to help build that relationship there as well.
Wonderful. I know in the interim, while that gets built out, I know that there was a interim plan of providing transportation for some of the survivors to come to the San Jose based. How is that working out? Is that
I don't want to speak for the CAC, but
well, anything, if you have any insight, I know it's not even.
I believe that they do have that process worked out. Yeah.
Got it. Okay. You just reminded me of something that I've been wondering about, and so since you touched the subject, I asked about it, but I will properly channel that elsewhere. And thank you for your efforts, both of you, Gigi and Anna. I think with that, we can take a motion and move forward.
Motion to receive report.
And I'll second that.
All right. Vice Chairperson Young?
Thank you.
Yes.
And Chairperson Arenas?
Yes.
Thank you. Motion carries.
Thank you once again. All right, we're moving right through all of this. And then next we're going to hear receive the report from the Office of the Sheriff relating to efforts to strengthen bonds between incarcerated parents and children, including parenting classes, programs, and policies. And we'll say welcome.
Good afternoon, everyone. I'm Holly Child. I'm the director for the Restorative Services Division in the Sheriff's Office, and
Hi, good afternoon. I'm Jill Ugalding. I'm the Deputy Chief of Institutions for Probation.
so normally I am a lover of PowerPoints, but I did not do one today because it's a very short report, unfortunately. So I'd really like to save time for any questions that you may have for us.
Okay, so before we ask questions, I will ask our clerk to please check in with our public.
We do not have any requests to speak.
All right, and I'll see the light from my co-chair.
Thank you. Thank you for the presentation. Also, just I saw the social media on the sheriff's Instagram from Mother's Day, and it's just it was very special. Thank you. Just as a mom too, I feel not in the same situation, but just the love, no matter where we are, the love that we have for our children is inherent in us, right? Instinctive. So I wanted to ask. I know that as budget challenges continue, is there an opportunity? I don't know. Like I'll turn to you too, Greta, for this. Just is there an opportunity where where we have RFPs for or contracts for parenting workshops or parenting supports that happen in community? Is there an opportunity or a path for us to also include inside our incarceral system for that work to also happen there? Like, can we do more, I guess, with less, but with the existing contracts or future contracts?
Yeah, I'm happy to partner with the Sheriff's Office to look into whether there's opportunities to leverage any of our existing contracts and providers to expand services to include our incarcerated parents. Sometimes there are limitations just based on the funding streams that we're using to support those on where services need to be delivered, but there may be opportunities in that vein. We're happy to look into it.
Thank you. I have another related question to funding streams. Is that, inspired by our earlier conversation with Key during item 4, is there a way to tie in Medi-Cal funds to programs like these through enhanced care management or through the community supports?
I don't know the answer to that question from in a precise way, but what I can share is that we have a really wonderful team working on the provisions of CalAIM that allow for the expanded Medi-Cal coverage for folks in the lead up to their release from custody. And there are definitely a lot of opportunities for us to be able to leverage Medi-Cal in ways that we historically were not through those CalAIM expansions to cover part of the period of time that folks were in custody, but also connect them to services when they're transitioning out. And I don't know if Holly has anything that she wants to add to that.
No, I mean, I think that's exactly right, Greta. We're still in early stages of the JI initiative. And so in some ways, the state, we're the guinea pig for the state. And so we're really still learning about how to leverage those resources. And there are specifications on things they can be used for, but it's definitely, something to put on the radar to track.
And I'll just mention, Holly said we're the guinea pig for the state because we're in the first cohort to really go forward ahead of other counties in trying to avail ourselves of those opportunities. So we really are, although in the early stages, moving faster than many of our peers to try and leverage those opportunities.
And I'm not surprised to hear that. Thank you for your leadership in this, and just thank you for honoring and preserving and supporting the parent-child bond. If the child, I think we all often encounter in our work at the county that regardless of where our parents may be in their treatment or in their personal journeys, kids just so want to be with them. So thank you for facilitating and honoring that relationship. That's it for me. And Greta, I'll just stay tuned. I think this is an ever-evolving process, and I know that with each board meeting and whenever we convene, James and you always are always forthcoming with any Medi-Cal, Cal-AIM, and also federal impact updates. Thank you, Chair. That's it for me.
Thank you. I also have just a couple of questions. I appreciate the information on the current parenting-related services. There was a list of the different modalities that you're supporting parents, and it was rather vague to me, and I would love to see if I could have some additional information, and that is, for example, for the Parent Project, it said it's 12 meeting. It's a 12-meeting weekly group series for parents with children at risk of negative school behaviors, gang involvement, et cetera. And then there are several cohorts that have been run at Elmwood Correction Center for Women over the last 12 months. And my question is, one, is that just specifically for women, and why only women? And then two, how do you even figure out who the kiddos are who are at our negative school, who are at risk? And how do you coordinate that information? So I guess first of all, this.
Sure. So the parenting projects actually run through the district attorney's office. They don't serve only women, they serve both men and women. It just cycles. They only have also so many resources to offer, so it just cycles through. That was kind of our last one, but they've been really fantastic partners coming in, and what we do is we work with people in the dorms, and we identify people in custody who have reported having a child who is potentially at risk. And so it's self-report, and they really participate. So they're looking for services for themselves, and they're self-identifying and reaching out for assistance and support through those groups. And so that's run by the district attorney's office, and they've been fantastic partners. And even the Santa Clara County Library has been buying us books and supporting things in that avenue as well.
Yeah, I think that you rely mostly on outside providers to come in and offer the services, and the one I think that you had, that I think you facilitated was a grant-based one, and that is no longer happening
That might be the juvenile one.
Oh, that might be the juvenile one. Okay, so I'm mixing it up a little bit.
I would have loved a grant, but no.
Well, listen, the next best thing is to count on service providers, but it is a shame that there isn't anything that is funded by the sheriff themselves, because based on the survey results, you could see clearly that parents want more opportunities for interaction with their children, and making those visits of a higher quality, and to support the relationship. Obviously, this is something that parents are telling us would be motivating, right? And there's very few things that can motivate people while they're incarcerated. And so I would really love to see how you are going to proactively figure out how these folks are coming in to support that, and through the survey figure out if they are actually meeting that. Because if the parents, if over 1/3 say they want more structured opportunities, maybe these programs that are coming in can focus on what the survey is saying, what the parents in the survey are saying. And so I guess I'm trying to figure out how do you do that when you look at the survey and you look at the service providers that are coming in? Do you ask the service providers, hey, listen, in the survey we had so-and-so and such and such, can you integrate that? Does that happen?
That's a great question. So most people probably aren't very familiar with the budget. So the actual programs unit budget for the sheriff's office is $47,000 a year. The only thing that we pay for is through a different funding stream is mandated services for religious services. We don't pay for any providers in custody currently. We did make a budget request, but unfortunately it's a bad budget year for everyone, so that did not happen. And we have been working actively with other county partners to piggyback on other contracts, and we're still in discussions and negotiations with that. I think for us, we did the survey in early April, and we did share results with all of the people who come in and either volunteer or with other partners. And so we have been working on ways that we can support parents in custody without additional funding and without additional staffing resources. So we've been doing some small things. We just did a Father's Day event. We are hoping to do more of the same events we do for Mothers for Fathers. So we're getting ready to launch some of those this year. So we are working to that end without having any additional resources to do that. But we have shared that information. It is really important for people to hear from parents in custody. And so it is a priority for us.
Yeah, and if I could just add, Holly, I think for maybe just add a little bit of context, of course, some of the programming and opportunities afforded to folks in custody, and Holly could speak to this specifically, are funded outside of the sheriff's office, for example, through reentry or through custody health. And so it's the 47,000 doesn't represent the sum total of all of the funding for programming for folks in custody. It's just what's allocated within the sheriff's office. A really significant amount of the programming is actually funded through reentry.
Thank you. And that, yeah. Listen, I'll ask the sheriff that question myself, but you have to have some skin in the game in order to ensure that you're meeting the needs of the folks who are there. And certainly, I think parents are saying they want more opportunities. And so I'll hold that conversation for a one-to-one with him. But I'd love to see if there's some additional way that you can provide or additional information on the how often some of the positive parenting or the learning corner or the read with me or the parent project, how often you're doing this, because it isn't enough for me to see several or there's a cohort or a couple of cohorts. It's just not specific enough.
Yeah, it's not consistent. So we do publish all of the services that are offered through the sheriff's office, through our partners on our sheriff's website. So we do share it with the public so they can see, but they're not offered consistent, and we don't have control. We would love to have a consistent offering of these, but we are not the service providers, so we're at the mercy of what other agencies are willing or able to provide to us. And we've had really good partners in a lot of these agencies, but everyone else has been struggling with staffing resource and fiscal resources, but they are not offered with any regular consistency.
All right, I'm going to end my comments because I don't know that there's really any more to say about this. And while I acknowledge the $300,000 request from the sheriff, that's still not skin in the game from your own system to support parents that are obviously saying that they need that level of support. So it feels, anyways, I'm going to move on to juvenile hall and figure out. Aside from the state grant that just ended, which engaged 10 parenting youth, how are you filling that gap?
So we're currently working with our behavioral health services. They're providing one-on-one intervention and coaching with all of our parents in juvenile hall. The population is very, very low of youth that are parents, but they are working with them until we can get a provider to come in and provide more consistent services.
And how would you qualify enough kids to bring in a provider?
So we don't right now. We're servicing a small population through the grant, and if that continues, we would continue to service that group of individuals. So it's not necessarily bringing in a provider to serve a select amount of youth. It's bringing in a provider to be able to offer those services to anyone who may need it.
Okay. Again, I think being a parent and a teen, or for some of those who are young adults, I think it's a source of motivation. And I look forward to seeing how you will be responsive to that, either through the pursuit of grants. Is there a plan, and maybe this is a question for Mariel, is there a strategic plan, effort to address this missing piece for the juveniles?
I'll actually defer to Jill because I believe her staff are working on developing a scope of work to RFP.
Yes, we're actively working on preparing the scope of work to see what exactly the services are that we're requesting, and what that would look like for the population and what exactly they need.
So when you say a scope of work for whom? For what? What's the...
For the services, so we need to lay out exactly what we're looking for and exactly what services that we're going to be asking a provider to come in and provide.
And that is in...
So
Sorry,
currently,
this isn't a vacuum.
Yeah. So currently, New Hope for Youth is providing this a service because they had a grant that they went out and they procured. Probation didn't go out and procure it. And so now that we've found that there are youth that are interested in these services, we have to go out and procure these services. So part of that is to issue an RFP. So the team right now is in the development of the scope of work. So looking at what New Hope for Youth provided, but also are there other services that might be needed on an individualized basis, such as the one-on-ones that Jill mentioned with behavioral health. Could an outside provider do that? So we hope to issue that sometime in the fall, probably, and then we'll have to find out if anyone applies.
Okay. I'd like to get an off-agenda report on what the efforts will be to couch that and the target outreach for providers. Are you posting it and just letting it be, or actively pursuing some of the providers that you've known have served your population in a certain way? I think if I could have a second and then ask for, you know what, I'll make a motion to approve and ask for an off-agenda report detailing out the scope of services in the pursuit of this RFP to address the parenting needs at Juvenile Hall.
Second.
Awesome. Thank you. Thank you for the information. And then we're going to ask our wonderful clerk to call a vote.
Vice Chairperson Young?
Yes.
And Chairperson Arenas?
Yes.
Thank you. Motion carries.
Wonderful. Okay, so we are going to move on to our very last item, and that is item 11, to receive a report relating to the fiscal year 2025-26 annual work plans and budgets. And this is for the following commissions: Child Abuse Prevention Council, Commission on the Status of Women, and our Senior Care Commission. Welcome.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon, and thank you so much for your patience.
It's great to be here, and it's been a fascinating meeting. So I'm James Gibbon Shapiro. I'm the chair of the Child Abuse Prevention Council. I think you have our work plan and budget. So I just want to highlight a few things. First of all, the Child Abuse Prevention Council, unlike a lot of boards and commissions, actually has a pretty big budget, but it doesn't come at all from the county's general fund. It comes from state dollars, mostly from license plate fees that people pay for specialized child abuse awareness license plates, or fees if you get an extra copy of your birth certificate. There's a fee attached to it that supports the Child Abuse Prevention Council. We give grants to a variety of nonprofits in the community to do child abuse prevention work and also to work with parents to help them in developing healthy relationships with their kids. We also do public awareness campaigns. You may have seen our bus wraps in April about healthy relationships and billboards about child sexual abuse. We have an annual symposium where we train professionals in child abuse related fields. Supervisor Arenas was present at our symposium this year. We had 300 attendees who received really cutting edge training on issues of importance to child protective services, criminal prosecution, medical care for abused and neglected kids. In addition to that, at our meetings, we always have a report from the Department of Family and Children's Services, and because the Child Abuse Prevention Council is made up of leaders in child abuse fields, Wendy Kinnear-Rausch can testify that there's often tough questioning for DFCS from our group. So we are often diving deep into programmatic and staffing and other issues at DFCS. So with that, I'll answer any questions that you have for me about the Child Abuse Prevention Council and our work plan.
Thank you, but first we'll hear from our public.
We do have one request to speak online.
I love this. They're clamoring for you.
All right, so we'll go ahead and call our speaker. Ben Z, you will have 2 minutes to speak. The timer will begin when you begin speaking.
Yes. Good afternoon. While I understand that part of the work plan is to have tough questions for DFCS and for Wendy Kinnear-Rausch, that's all great. But I think we should add to the work plan that if you come to the Child Abuse Prevention Council and you ask for help because your child is being sexually abused, I think you should, that somebody should be able to help you. You guys have Dr. Sturm on that council. You have James Gibbons Shapiro on that council. When you ask James Gibbons Shapiro, hey, can you provide a referral to Dr. Sturm so that the children can go to the Child Advocacy Center and get a screening, I think he should be able to he's got the mandate, he's got the authority. He should be able to say, hey, Dr. Sturm, I'm referring these kids to you so you can provide a screening, and if there's something there, then we could protect the children. It's really a shame that he would just refuse and say, I don't care. Because I think that if you work at the district attorney's office, you have an obligation to set the example, to show everybody, hey, this is how it's done. But he doesn't care. And I wish he would do something to help my kids and set the example for everyone else, for DFCS, for any other parent who needs help. You help them. Thank you for your time.
Thank you, and that concludes our speakers.
Thank you, and I'm going to go to my co-chair.
James, JGS, just want to extend my greatest appreciation to the members of the commission and to you for your work in this.
Thank you so much, Supervisor.
Thank you. I'm going to ask, there's been a theme, and you've been patiently waiting, so you've heard my theme of pulling in and finding that thread that unites us all. And so as the chair of CAPC, I'm hoping that you can bring in, through the goals and objectives that you have, some of the work that you fund, coordinate as well with maybe potentially some of the grants that we provide. And I think for this upcoming year, through the inventory, hopefully if everything goes well, we still have an inventory grant item to do, that we could potentially have a maybe a joint meeting with CAPC and this committee, so that we can figure out how to support and leverage each other's resources. And while I think you're doing fabulous work, I just think we're going to have to really work together in these upcoming years to figure out just how we leverage resources. We're just not going to have the same. Does that sound like something that?
Absolutely, and this is something that the Child Abuse Prevention Council has been committed to. And I'll just say this year, one of the contracts we have is with Pacific Clinics, and we also realized that the Children's Advocacy Center needed assistance of Pacific Clinics, and we amended our contract with Pacific Clinics so that they could get better referrals through the Children's Advocacy Center. So this kind of work that we're doing to use the contracts we have and the money we have to work in cooperation with the other efforts of the county is what we're all about.
Love it. You are the choir and you're singing to me, and vice versa. So I love it. I absolutely love it. You're also the body that continues to keep accountability, right? And so I think under Objective 7, there's a proposed activity, and that is regarding the CAN Center.
Right. So one of the things that we get periodic reports from DFCS on is not just the information about what's the volume of calls at the CAN Center and the response times for the calls, but really an in-depth look at, well, how about at swing shift time? How is that different from day shift time? And also, what about the difference about calls from law enforcement, calls from medical staff, calls from education? How soon are those being returned, and what's the difference in those time periods? And because we've got leaders from all these different groups, we're able to ask those really nitty-gritty questions. And so that's what I would say is a lot of the work that we've been doing about oversight of the CAN Center. And I was just fielding a question today that I forwarded to new director Wendy Kinnear-Rausch for some more information to be presented at our July meeting about the CAN Center as part of our ongoing oversight work.
Wonderful, and I really appreciate it. And you know that this body also hears the CAP and then the SIP on certainly the CAP on a monthly basis. And so I think we just need to figure out when during the year could we have a coordinating committee meeting, and maybe if my co-chair agrees that we could have a special meeting to hear these things, to hear these updates, to have these cross section conversations that could unify us in a very meaningful way. I think we already, I have a huge respect for the work that you do, and on your own and through this committee, and your leadership just matters so much to me. I think we want to make sure that I want to make sure that I'm leveraging all that we can for CAPC, and then of course making sure that the efforts that we're making here coincide with your work plan objectives and how you're carrying out that work. So I'd love to see a coordinating co-meeting. I think it would be fabulous.
We'd love to do it, and you'd get a very enthusiastic group of CAPC members at a joint meeting.
I'm already smiling ear to ear. Okay, so I'm going to make a motion to accept the report and then to ask for a CAPC and this CSFCO. I'm so sorry. I assumed you would be on board. I'm so sorry, Co-Chair. Let me check in with you.
Yeah, totally on board. Happy to second.
Awesome, thank you. Awesome. So that motion is to accept to receive the report and then also ask for a joint meeting between both of our bodies, CSFC and CAPC, so that we can talk about your work plan, our work plan, joint forces, and figure out how to leverage our resources. Okay, so those are my questions, my comments. I know that you are you're receiving, and thank you for sharing that information, that you continue on an ongoing basis receiving that information, and please count on us to help you provide any additional information. I know that Sarah and Wendy have been working really hard on our CAP program, or CAP report, and all the efforts that fall under that. And so if there's anything that we can provide that would facilitate it, but it sounds like you're already receiving all that you need. All right. I will ask our clerk to help us with that vote.
Before we move forward, I do want to note that there are commissioners for the other two commissions available
Great.
online.
You know what? This is the piece that I also had forgotten, because there is the Commission on the Status of Women, but I wasn't sure. I didn't see anybody else joining you, so I thought maybe it was just you. So
yes.
how do we deal with that? Because can
So
we have a panel?
both of them did raise their hands on Zoom. We do have we have a representative from the Commission on the Status of Women and a representative from the Senior Care Commission. Did you want to choose which one to go first?
Sure, and Michaela, you were going to advise me.
Oh, I was going to advise you that it's the chair's discretion if you would like to hear their
Absolutely, absolutely. Please, we'll go in the order of B is Commission on the Status of Women, so we'll hear that one first.
Good afternoon. Thank you. This is Jessica Blitchuk. I'm a commissioner on the Commission on the Status of Women. I was part of the work plan ad hoc. So I am very honored to be here with you today. I'm starting my video. There I am. There is no formal presentation, but I'm happy to answer any questions you may have or briefly share our key accomplishments for the last fiscal year and our plans for the upcoming year.
Yes, why don't you go ahead and do that? If you want to share your key accomplishments, that would be amazing.
Lovely. One of the things we wanted to highlight for the committee was that we allocated $21,000 in mini grants through our mini grant program, which was a huge uptick in allocations from the prior year, where we only allocated $8,500. And then in the next budget year, we have budgeted for $25,000 in mini grants. And I just wanted to remind the committee that the money for the mini grants come from the Women's Equality Day fundraiser that the commission puts on every year, and it is not money coming from the county, it's money that we raise ourselves. One of our other key accomplishments for the past fiscal year was a listening session that we put together. It was a public forum on the topic of unhoused women and girls, and we invited more than 50 community-based organizations to come and give to speak, and we had more than 150 attendees, and there is a full report on that listening session that should be coming to your committee soon in one of your next meetings. And then finally, from our past year, I just wanted to mention that we do still continue to work on the CEDAW implementation, that one of our commissioners is part of that implementation. And then as far as the upcoming year is concerned, I did already mention the $25,000 in our budget for our mini grants. We are going to be focusing on identifying another key issue to have another public forum, while also making sure that we provide whatever support is necessary to the board and this committee in terms of supporting the policy recommendations from our prior public hearings. And then the Public Policy Committee is going to be looking at creating a process for identifying what our key policy issues might be that we can then focus on and then have more success with doing outreach in the community and focusing on one or two issues. So that's what I wanted to share. If you have any questions, I'm happy to answer. I'm sorry, I really wanted to thank the clerk of the board and the Office of Women's Policy, because without them, the commission wouldn't be able to do the work that we're able to do. So they really are so incredibly crucial to our work. So thank you to them.
Wonderful. Well, thank you so much. I underlined that gratitude myself. Thank you, thank you. Okay, so I'll go ahead and ask, on that note, in terms of, as you heard me say earlier, I have kind of a thread here, a common thread of maximizing and leveraging each other's resources. And so I know that I saw in your report that you are hoping to identify some partnerships with CBOs to advocate for programming, vocational and educational needs, and we happen to have just an amazing provider named Loving Flower Group, who is doing some really fabulous support activities with the young women and men in our at Juvenile Hall, and I just wanted to identify that as a potential collaboration. And part of the programming is creating flower arrangements. For, the youth creating some of the flower arrangements, and these groups bringing in the flowers, and of course a meal, to break bread, and then asking the participants to, if they want to, this is the voluntary, all of this is obviously very voluntary, but if they wanted to participate in a essay writing contest that is reflective about either if it's Mother's Day or if it's Thanksgiving Day, either gratitude or on motherhood or parenthood. And the participants end up writing these just absolutely extremely beautiful and heart-wrenching essays that I've had the pleasure of reading in the past. And so anyways, I just wanted to elevate this group, see if there's an opportunity for you to connect with them, and I'm happy to do that offline. But as I was reading your report, I thought about that particular group, and seeing that we just finished talking about probation and then parents in carceral settings, I thought it would be appropriate to move forward to you.
Thank you for that recommendation. I wrote it down, and I will bring it to our committee that works on justice-involved women and
wonderful
justice-involved girls.
Thank you so much. And, you know, my office can also follow up and provide a proper introduction. I have no other, oh, actually, I have another, no, I'm sorry. No, that wasn't it. My memory just went. So I just really want to thank you for the work that you're doing, and thank you for taking the time to provide us with a lovely summary, and of course just the dedication that you have to the young girls and women in our area. It means a great deal to me and to many others who don't get to recognize all of the lovely work that you do, but we see you and we appreciate you. So I'm going to move.
Thank you.
Welcome. I'm going to move on to our Senior Care Commission. I think it was Tyler.
Yes, hi, good afternoon.
Good afternoon. Welcome, Tyler. If you want to introduce yourself and then maybe give just a quick overview.
Sure. My name is Tyler Taylor. I serve on the Santa Clara County Senior Care Commission. I chaired the ad hoc committee for the work plan. Some of the things that were called out, first, I just want to, I was able to sit through this meeting today and just hear the really astounding work that's being done throughout the county, in particular for the youth. Part of what we do in aging services is we really hope and pray that young people make it to become seniors. And the work that's being done for the youth is just really exemplary throughout the county. So I want to thank all the staff and all the folks that delivered these impact statements and other reports throughout this meeting. But for the Senior Care Commission, we had not met actually in a couple of years. And so on behalf of the commission, I wanted to express our gratitude for the Board of Supervisors adjusting our required number of commissioners down so that we could make quorum, which we have been able to do now. And we've had several successful meetings. And prior to us kind of being unable to make quorum, we were one of those very active commissions and getting a lot of things done. And so we have picked up where we left off with a very aggressive work plan for this year. Some of the call outs, one of them is working with the Department of Aging and Adult Services and your new director to really carry out the tenets of the age-friendly action plan and as well as the master plan for aging for the state of California. There's a lot of attention being paid to Santa Clara County and the efforts that are being made here county-wide to create sustainability within the aging services sector, in particular the aging services workforce and the caregiver gap that currently exists. The caregiver study that was done by the county has been used really to develop some innovative programs for training and certification for aging caregiving workforce. And there's a few programs out there that are really noteworthy, so our commission is paying attention to those and being supportive. We also have some action items related to housing, creating and increasing public awareness about issues facing older adults, where services can be found and accessed. Our legislative committee is really going to be focused on what bills are going to be coming through, obviously paying attention to what's happening with Medicare, and we'll be authoring some potential position statements for the board through this committee. So our legislative committee will be really paying attention to that. We're also focused on transportation, safe, reliable, accessible, and affordable transportation options throughout the county. One of which is the Measure B, expansion of the Measure B grant. We're monitoring that to see if one of the programs throughout the county will, the RIDE Senior Transportation Program, which my organization runs with West Valley Community Services. We did apply for funding that would allow us to expand all the way south to Gilroy. We're already in Morgan Hill, but we also would like to expand deeper into South County as well as East San Jose and Central San Jose. So we're looking at what those options are, and then there are also programs throughout the county that are app-based with VIA and Hopper and some of the others. So we're monitoring those as they develop. Also, the continuation of the Adult Day Program subsidy pilot that was launched several years back. The commission will be working with the Office of Research and Evaluation to take a look at the results and match them up against what the intended outcomes were at the beginning of that pilot. We have some success anecdotally from the caregivers, from their families, from the providers. And so now we're back at the table with the county departments to make sure that those bear out with some quantifiable results. We're looking at the advocating for the needs of LGBTQAI+ seniors. The LGBTQ Older Adults Needs Assessment Survey, we're partnering with the Office of LGBTQ Affairs to monitor what progress is being made in the county after that report was released. And so, so that's a priority for ours. And then finally, kind of sticking with our theme of bringing county and community together by working with existing senior care commissions or senior focused bodies at each city level to understand what they're working on, what are the hyper-local needs that exist throughout the county, and bringing some of those up for discussion and seeing if there's some solutions out there that exist that we can promote to other regions. So we lastly would love, one of our work plan items is to invite as many of the county supervisors as we possibly can to attend our meetings this year and to hear from the commission, and also for us to hear from the supervisors about their priorities as they relate to older adults, and make sure that our activities are aligned and helping to deliver the care that the county needs. So that is my report. Again, we're very happy to be back in action as a commission, and we're looking forward to what we can put up this year. Thank you.
Thank you. I'm so happy that you are back in play. And I think we already heard from our public comment, right? So we don't have to reopen that.
Yeah, we probably should take public comment one more time since they hadn't heard the other reports.
All right, we'll see. So we now heard from the Commission on the Status of Women and then our Senior Care Commission. So I'm going to ask our clerk.
Okay, so we did take public comment earlier. Is this reopening the public comment period?
Yeah, she just directed us to reopen it.
Okay,
please.
Perfect. There are no further requests to speak.
Got it. Okay, so we checked, and then I'm checking for lights. So I'll go ahead and begin. Thank you so much for both of the updates, all three of them actually, I should say. But for the recent one, Tyler, that you've just given us for the Senior Care Commission, and I'm wondering, we heard earlier, and I think it was, I forget what that item was, but we heard from the DEBS department on how to outreach to low-income beneficiaries, and there was a couple of items that I think relate to our older adults, and I'm wondering if, and we don't have to do this now, but I would love to offline have a conversation with you on learning from the commission what they would see as the most effective outreach strategies for those who are aging in place in this community, so that we can also learn from you. We can only assume from our own perspective on ways that we think are effective in, one, communicating, and two, allowing for our resource information and guides and flyers and things of that sort that we think are effective in reaching out. But I think it would really play an important role of the commission to give us some of that feedback. And so I look forward to visiting the commission and also getting your guidance on what you think is most appropriate. And so I'll just put that question out there, and then ask my team to coordinate with you a visit to the commission so that maybe we can have that question answered by the whole body. Does that work?
That's perfect. I took that note down. Thank you so much.
Wonderful, and thank you for your leadership. Thank you for your service. I'm so happy that this commission is, like I said, back in play. We have a tremendous number of seniors in our county, and we do continue to actively hold space and this population in our conversations. And yours truly will make an effort to activate that population in my mind, so that I integrate them into all of the work that we are doing. And so it's not an afterthought, but it really is truly an integration and reflection of who lives in our county. So thank you so much for all that you are doing. And then I don't know that we need a motion for this, Michaela?
No, I think you're good.
Okay, perfect. Well, thank you so much, all of you, for. Can I revert back to James Gibbons Shapiro? Yes. Okay. Thank you. I promise I'm going to make this really quick, but I just wanted to mention the pilot program that, and you probably already know this, the pilot project that stemmed from. Maxine, and I forget her, the social worker who is in DFCS at the CAN Center, who proposed a pilot project about co-locating social workers in our community. So one is in Gilroy, one is on the east side of San Jose, and so hopefully that follows and somehow worked into your work plan as well, to just keep an eye out to see how we're faring.
I think that's an exciting idea, and we're all, I think, looking forward to see what the results are.
Yeah, me too. Me too. Okay, so we are going to move on. And did anybody wanted to add? No? Okay. All right. Okay, so then we are going to.
Before we move on, we do have a motion on the table. It was to move the recommended action and have the coordinating meeting between CAPC and CSFC.
Yes, I made that motion. I just forgot. And I think it was because my co-chair had.
She has seconded the motion.
She did second it. You came back and you seconded. Thank you for saving me, and thank you for saving me on this one. This one was kind of a segmented one. So if you want to call our vote, and see how we do.
Vice Chairperson Young?
Yes.
And Chairperson Arenas?
I'm going to say yes too.
Thank you. Motion carries.
Okay, awesome. Okay, last one. I promise, is this is finally on our last item on our agenda. This is our announcements. We're going to hear verbal reports from our directors, and I'm just going to follow the people in order, and you all can coordinate who's going to speak.
Okay, thank you. Chair, and this is Sarah Duffy, Deputy Director, Social Services Agency, and I have updates from our wonderful directors of Department of, from DEBS, DOS, and DFCS, so I can say them all, or I can go down the line. I'll say them. Okay. I have 6. It's busy because it's end of the fiscal year, so I have 6 very exciting updates, the first of which our CAPC chair mentioned, which is I want to congratulate Wendy Knier-Rausch as the new director of DFCS, moving out of the acting role and into the permanent role. So congratulations, Wendy.
And this is when the chair will allow for applause and not air. Congratulations, Wendy.
Okay. No, that's great. Okay, so the second announcement is that we had a really wonderful job fair in Gilroy, and this was a partnership between DFCS and DEBS, and I saw some great photographs of lines on June 11th at the Gilroy Family Resource Center, and I think it may have been a record-breaking event that brought 166 job seekers to the event to explore SSA career possibilities with DEBS and DFCS, so that was great. There was an annual Public Administrator Guardians Conservator Conference. It was an annual 2-day conference on June 4th and 5th at SSA, and this event brought together all of the California Public Administrator and Public Guardian counties, along with the Santa Clara County Department of Aging and Adult Services, and was focused on building professional excellence and community impact. This morning, and I'll look at Vanessa here, was the monthly senior safari. And visitors age 50 and up are invited to walk San Jose's Happy Hollow Park and Zoo, get some fresh air and exercise, and enjoy free entry into the park and zoo. Animal meet and greets, zookeeper chats, and more. Last May's event set an all-time record of over 1,000 participants. So encourage you to mark your calendars for July 24th. And I've been, and it's super fun and a great opportunity to chat with community members and just spend time in the morning at Happy Hollow before it gets really crowded. So highly recommend that. On June 16th, DFCS hosted our Family Reunification Day, which brought together families, the dependency presiding Judge Schwartz, community partners, mentor parents, and supervisors, Young and Arenas. We honored 5 families who had really tremendous success stories around reunification, and the event recognizes all the families and their success working through challenges, achieving stability, and building loving homes. And lastly, and very exciting, in May, Santa Clara County Social Services Appeals Unit was commended by the California Department of Social Services Hearing Division as one of only 2 counties with the most efficient processing of appeals requests. So Santa Clara County's success at resolving appeals requests without the need for hearings significantly contributed to reducing the state's hearing backlog. So just want to congratulate Debs and team for that recognition. And that concludes the SSA updates for the month.
Thank you so much, and congratulations on that.
Don Simone, Deputy Director of Child Support Services. Nothing really new to report for June.
I love it. Okay. And then, Mariel, see how I did not forget to look to my left?
Thank you very much. You have definitely heard enough from us today, but we will be sending the NSU calendars to your offices tomorrow for the month of July, and also just wanted to do a shout out to our department because July is probation, parole, and pretrial services workers. There's in July. So the board did pass a proclamation last Tuesday for that, so thank you very much for your support of our employees.
Absolutely amazing work. and congratulations all of July. And unfortunately, we don't get to be around for it, but I'm glad that we acknowledged, and we should probably in August celebrate. I'm still around the first 2 weeks. I'm happy to join you in any celebrations that you have regarding this proclamation for the month of July. Okay, I think that is it, right? No questions? Sounds like we can go ahead and call this meeting adjourned. And I just want to finally thank Camille and Clerk of the Board and all of you for all of your work that you've done. We did it. We did it. And if you all are taking time off, I hope that you enjoy, you restore, and this brings you some level of rejuvenation and peace. And so we will come back in August. I forget the August 28th at 1:30 will be our next Children, Seniors, and Family Committee. So congratulations, everyone. We'll see you then. Bye-bye.